Hello everyone and welcome back to What a Barb, a Polin podcast. I'm Obs. I have, hopefully, everyone with me at some point. For now in the intro, I have my lovely Lecky. The other two will be joining us later as we finally conclude our rewatch of Season 3, Episode 7. Lecky, it's almost Christmas. Happy Christmas, babe.
Happy Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody.
What a joyous time it is.
Honestly, it is a great time to be a Polin fan. I will just say that. You have to celebrate the wins where they come.
Lecky. So much is going on, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we recorded most of this episode a while ago, but we're speaking to you now on the 22nd of December, which is day 8.
We are on day 8.
It's going to be a long episode, so shall we just wish everyone a happy Christmas, happy holidays, as you say in America, and jump straight into the crumbs of the week? Because what a week.
Yes, let's do it.
Lecky, what have you got for us?
What a bounty of crumbs we've received over the last few days. And what a discount also.
Get you 15% off your wooden ornament here, guys.
I will say there is a really great, it's like the blue shirt on Netflix.shop, like the Bridgerton one.
Hey, we're going in orders of days. Save your hints as we go.
Fine.
What's happening, babe?
Okay, so Shondaland decided they were going to bless us with the 12 days of Bridgerton with a little gift each day relating to Bridgerton.
How lovely. We've been unwrapping them as they go. There's been ups, there's been downs. Why don't we just go through the days as we are? In fact, as we speak, I think day 8 is about to drop. So we can have a little live reaction for you. I don't know what's going to happen if it's another discount. We can cheer for that, I suppose. But okay, take me through the days of the week.
Okay, so day 1, we got another little character promo, like a little moving character promo with Benefi finally together in the same frame. Very cute.
That was when we found out it was going to be the 12 days, wasn't it? Because at first it was like, oh, just another cute little promo. Then you read the hashtag and you're like, oh my God, we're in for a wild ride. So they looked very lovely. Same costumes that we've seen, but nice to see them again. What about day 2?
Day 2, we received 3 official stills, and then we also received some extras from an Entertainment Weekly article. Is that right?
That is right. So I think technically the 3 stills were the gift, and then there was the Entertainment Weekly article that had some more stills that were separate.
So we have Sophie kind of reclining on, I'm assuming like her bed in the Gunn household, because it looks like a different uniform to the one she's wearing in the character promos, which we believe is from when she works at the Cavender house. And she's holding a glove wistfully, and we know that this is from the mysterious episode 402. So it's so nice to finally see some content from that episode. And speaking of 402, our little glimpse of Benedict from that day is also from episode 402.
Look at him all grown up.
I've been calling him Forlorn Benedict. He's kind of staring up, wistfully thinking about his lady in silver, I'm assuming. And then, of course, we also got a high-quality pirate Penelope, Shiver Me Timbers.
My timbers have been shivered.
She's stunning.
I mean, the thing about this is, of course, we get a little bit more of the glimpse. The tiny, tiny sword my heart is dying for.
I love the florals on the back of her dress. That's so unexpected.
I want to know what they mean. I also love in the still you get to see John's expression. He has the most incredible expression because, Lecky.
Yes.
Is there a golden yellowy blur my eyes can see?
We love a blur on the pod.
Of course we do.
There is indeed a golden blur on the left side of the frame that Penelope is looking up towards this blur.
Beaming at.
Suspiciously like Colin's height, we think the gold blur could perhaps be Colin. Is he Pirate Colin? Is he Treasure's Bounty Colin? We don't quite know.
It just makes sense that he would just start dressing in bright yellow, bright gold at every given opportunity. He has a legacy to uphold.
In AO3 Crackfic land, yes, but I didn't anticipate potentially head-to-toe gold-draped Colin, but I'm here for it.
Did you anticipate Pirate Pen?
No, I will say I'm here for it. I had imagined some more dramatic version of the pirate look we saw.
It feels like a collective hallucination we're living through, doesn't it?
Yeah. Someone on Twitter shared a pirate costume that's head to toe in gold. Very Phantom of the Opera-y.
Yes.
But just in complete gold. And if it's like that, I will laugh very hard.
I still want him to be like the ship's mate, personally. Is my preference. But I will happily settle for head to toe gold and blur. He looks lovely if it is him.
I mean, he made a choice. If so.
Watch it be like Fife or someone and we've all been absolutely screwed over.
Yes.
Oh, what a delicious, delicious crumb. But did you mention the Entertainment Weekly article? That was a little bonus.
Yes. So in the Entertainment Weekly article, we also received another still of Benefi dancing together on a little, what would you call that?
Bandstand. I was Googling it and I actually found the website that sells the exact bandstand that they're using. So if anyone wants a bandstand.
Benefi fans. if you want to purchase a bandstand.
I don't have a 15% discount, I'm afraid.
We've seen glimpses of their dance, this little moment that they have outside of the masquerade here and there, but it's nice to see it in high def for sure. And we will get back to like the crumbs within the article, but there was another still of Vicus, arm in arm.
Gorgeous Vicus.
At some sort of, what would you call that, like a garden party?
Promenade situation. They're out and about. They're out on the town. He looks so proud and she looks so emotionally detached. I don't know if it's because I feel pretty emotionally detached at the minute, but still it just got so spaced out.
Yeah, it's not a garden party. They're definitely promenading together because people have their little parasols out.
Yeah, very cute.
And then a very interesting still of Penelope being received by the Queen and Lady Danbury, who is there for the gossip.
Oh my God. This is everything we wanted, isn't it, for season 3 that we didn't get?
Yes.
This is from 401, right? Because there was the previous behind the scenes clip where you saw her being like, a new season is upon us, and it's from this scene.
And I thought that her wig kind of looked like it was shaped like a quill in that, so it seems very fitting that she's wearing like a quill wig to receive Penelope.
It's like they're in their honeymoon stage before it all goes drastically wrong.
And then within the Entertainment Weekly article, were there any crumbs we wanted to touch on?
Well, high stakes and juicy conflict has been teased. Jess Brownell talked more about the tropes that we'll be seeing, so the classic Cinderella stories, but with Sophie it's a bit of a twist because she's not just going to be the damsel in distress. Interestingly, she said that An Offer from a Gentleman was the easiest book to adapt, as it lent itself really closely to television structure for a love story. There are just a lot of rich set pieces that give us the aforementioned juicy conflict and high stakes. It's going to be very interesting to see how the book is adapted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I think recently, she mentioned in another article that show Benedict will be a lot softer than book Benedict, which is something I think many people will be relieved to hear.
Thank God. Everyone will be pleased to hear that, but it also just tracks with the Benedict we know from the show because he is that like soft, romantic, poetic man. He's kind of lost and adrift, but he is a very like sweet, kind-hearted soul.
Yes.
As well as dropping a few extra Benefit crumbs and 2 new stills from the masquerade, Jess shared more about what we can expect from the Bridgerton family themselves. She said, it's a season where we try to make sure all of the siblings feel present in some way and present the main love story as much as possible. Eloise, for example, has a very tight relationship with Benedict, and she will be involved in his search for the masked woman this year.
The more siblings, the better. Give me proof of life of Saphne, proof of life of Cantony, proof of life of everyone. Thank you.
Well, it's going to be a little touch and go there, potentially for the first couple.
No promises.
But yes, yeah, but very exciting to see Eloise take part in yet another investigative search.
It's just the fact that it's been referred to as reluctant participation that makes my heart swell so much.
Yeah, that's going to be really fun, I think. Jess also promised that we will see more from our 2 newlywed couples, Polin and Fran, saying both couples will get a chance to showcase what their marriage looks like after tying the knot. Penelope will also face new challenges now that her Lady Whistledown identity has been exposed. Jess continued by saying it's high stakes. On the one hand, the Queen loves to be entertained, but on the other hand, the Queen does not like to have anything written that she disagrees with, so Penelope is in a tricky position this year, trying to please the Queen without giving up her journalistic integrity.
That's like the conflict I'm wanting for her.
Yes.
I also just want the awkward reality of her having to write about her in-laws and then having to face them after the fact.
Yes. I wonder if Portia will be secretly pleased. She's like, finally, writing about another family besides our own.
Get off my fucking back.
And if that wasn't enough, we also received some new crumbs about Vicus, along with confirmation that Violet will still be exploring her relationship with Marcus. Jess said, we're in a season in which we're exploring courage in so many ways. We're also exploring whether Violet is ready to be brave enough to put her heart on the line. Oh, that's actually really sweet.
I like that courage is going to be a theme of the season. That sounds really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, day 2 was quite the day. So what on earth happened to us on day 3?
There were so many crumbs on day 2 that this could only go one way. But day 3, of course, was the 15% discount off of Netflix Shop's Bridgerton collection. Did you get anything? I did not.
I didn't. I've always had my eye on a t-shirt or so, but unfortunately on this particular occasion, I haven't made the most of my 15% discount.
I will say I did go on their website and I opened a bunch of things that actually looked appealing to me, but I just didn't commit. However, there is a really great, it's like Lady Whistledown's social club shirt. It's dark blue. Mm-hmm. It's really thick and soft and it makes a great pajama top. I have 3 of them now and I love them.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But if you love a good pajama top, I recommend that for one.
My word. Well, after all the excitement of day 3, what did day 4 have for us?
Day 4 had little Christmas wish lists, basically, that Yaren, Luke, and Hannah Dodd had filled out. We used to do memes like this for the characters for Christmas, where they described what they wanted for Christmas and the New Year. But Shondaland provided one for us. So we had some interesting crumbs, some interesting responses for these as well. So for Yaren, she said, I actually love this. She said, the gift that her character would like to receive for the holidays is a raise.
National minimum wage, please. Thank you.
It's hysterical. Notably, she also said that the character she would like to take on vacation, we thought it was Aldi, but it turns out to be Alfie.
Oh my God. The deep dive we went onto the name history of Aldi. I was like, it has a Scottish descent. Do we have any Scottish characters? I wonder what the connection will be.
I think Yaren is one of those people who, kind of like me, like your handwriting differs. You don't really write consistent letters all the time.
Or we just can't read, babe, I think is what actually was.
Yes. Anyway.
Someone far more clever than we said that says Alfie.
Right. And Alfie is a new character that will be joining us for the first time. We don't really have any details about his character, but I believe he's supposed to work within the Gunn family household.
He's going to be played by David Morst. So we will see.
Welcome to the show, Alfie.
I also liked on Sophie's that her New Year's resolution would be to be able to roam freely on the streets. Sophie, is there any reason you wouldn't be able to walk freely on the streets, my love?
Yeah.
On Benedict's, I liked his resolution was to get hurt for the new year. I thought, yeah, same. Absolutely same with you there, babe.
What I liked when he was talking about the gift his character would like to receive for the holidays, he said, just get me a waistcoat like last year. And that seemed like such a perfect Benedict response.
Yeah.
I love that.
And the fact that skiing would be a lot of work. And that he'd take Elle on holiday.
Our Beloise hearts.
Of course, always beating strong. And then Hannah Dodd's Francesca, again, perfectly in character. Noise cancelling headphones for her.
Quiet night by the fire.
That she wanted to find her pinnacle for New Year's resolution.
That is interesting.
Does she need little birds and the bees chat with Portia, perhaps?
Well, hopefully not.
And that she would like to take Elle, John and Michaela away with her.
Apparently she really liked the trip to Scotland.
The fact that she hasn't sickened with Elle is incredible to me. Okay, well, what did day 5 have for us, babe?
We had 3 more stills. So the first was of Araminta Gunn in what looks like her own foyer.
Yes, looks like hers.
Holding like a little red drawstring pouch. Yeah. And behind it is some white fabric, which I think is a glove. I think this might be after Benedict has come looking for the Lady in Silver, or for some reason Araminta is thinking about maybe the glove that Sophie left behind.
Or maybe she's found Sophie's.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
Okay, so we have Lady D, who's very interestingly dressed. You keep seeing her in these like Bridgerton blues, but in this one she has this almost sheer or two-toned red covering over her dress. Back in season 1, Lady Danbury wore a bunch of red, but now we've mixed her own color palette with the Bridgerton blue, which I thought was very interesting. And she's also, of course, drinking.
Feel you, girl.
Oh no, they haven't touched on her in official promo, not...
Spoilers.
We'll cut that.
Lecky just said a spoiler. Yes, we have seen the spoilers, and yes, the podcast is going to be kept spoiler-free. So Lecky has just been tapped on the wrist for that one.
Sorry.
Also, she's got her hair down, which is always good to see with Lady D, isn't it?
Yeah. And some autumnal flowers by her side.
Very autumnal. Oh my God, what a woman she is. And also from 402.
An upside-down photo of the Queen posed of like her laying out on like a cushion or a poof.
Oh, this is such a cool shot.
With an issue of Lady Whistledown beside her. And let me tell you, I downloaded like the biggest one I could. I zoomed in on that Lady Whistledown and my eyes said like, fuck you.
Your eyes said, we've retired from this nonsense. Stop it.
I know that at some point I'm going to have an optometrist on speed dial just because of what Bridgerton crumbs have done to me over the years. And I promise you I did try to read this, but like I could probably spend hours doing it and maybe make out a sentence or two, but I just couldn't do it.
I think they've made it deliberately not quite high quality enough that we can see it. Because if it was a high resolution, we'd be able to see it. But I love this framing though. Oh, doesn't she look amazing?
She has a very interesting expression because she doesn't seem very satisfied for somebody who is now in control of the gossip. I think she's in low spirits. I don't know if she's angry, but I think the fact that her wig is shaped like a heart is also significant. I was wondering if maybe something has happened with the king, or if perhaps she's wanting a new love story for the season, and she's not been quite satisfied on that level and hasn't received that compelling love story yet.
So like the shot is like an inverted heart, isn't it, as we see it?
Yeah.
I don't think she's too happy with Whistledown. Interesting. Okay then, day 6. What did day 6 have for us?
We had a little clip from Jess Brownell where she shared some more tidbits about the season. Jess described the new season as a fantasy meets reality and forbidden romance, and when asked what was most surprising in the season, Jess said, getting to see new levels from Benedict Bridgerton, especially his vulnerability, which Jess said we've never really seen before. Let me tell you, I'm excited to see different levels from Benedict.
There's another article, I can't remember if it was from yesterday, when it was like, Benedict has tired of his way of life. I was like, me too, Ben. Me too, darling.
Yeah, I mean, we love Benedict, but we are at this point very eager to see more of him. And as for if there are any hints or Easter eggs we should be on the lookout for, Jess simply said, bathtub. Oh, if you've read the book, Benefit fans, you'll be very excited to have heard those words.
And then what did we have for day 7?
Day 7. This was the moment I knew the Polin curse was still afflicting me.
The spell, darling. You're under the spell, not a curse.
It's kind of a curse. So we received another one of like those moving character promos with Polin posed together, staring lovingly into each other's eyes.
Oh my God. It looked like a work of art. It's perfect.
It's like the mirror promo in that I've rewatched this many, many times in a row. It's just like
life-changing. Yeah.
I just keep watching this on repeat.
Oh my gosh, everything about it is so beautiful. Like the colouring suits them so well. Their styling, it's like season 1 Colin with like a new version of Pen who's still romantic. Because like her season 4 styling so far has been like quite
matronly.
And I know she's married, but you also want that like whimsical romantic side of her too.
Softness, yes.
There's a corsage, which got us thinking, is this a wedding outfit? Not for her own, thank God. We've got down the aisle. We'll be getting down the aisle in this episode, hopefully.
Perhaps the Benefit wedding. I also love her styling here. It's so soft and romantic. I absolutely love it.
Hair on her tiptoes.
I love the return of Colin season 1 ship's prow hair.
The ship's prow. That's always been your favourite styling though, hasn't it?
I love all Collins. I don't know if I have a favourite.
All Collins are created equal, but some Collins are created more equal than others.
I absolutely love all of his styling. I think that maybe season 1 and... No, I can't do it.
You always have had a soft spot for the season 1 sort of ship's prow princely vibes.
Yeah, but the thing is I have a soft spot for all Collins. So it's hard to say. You show me a picture of Colin, I will be there beaming, you know?
Listener, she was yesterday. Beamings were had.
Yes.
Oh, it was so gorgeous. I can't get away from I want it framed on my wall.
It's so cute. And I keep seeing comments about, I think even Purple Cat Doctor, we love you, Purple Cat Doctor. Everyone keeps saying that it looks like they're aging in reverse. It kind of does.
I know. I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Honestly. Oh, I was so glad to see them. This is all I want, you know? I don't really care how much we get of them. If this is the kind of vibe, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But we thought our hearts had taken everything it could. And yet, Lecky, what else happened to us yesterday?
Then Nicola blessed us with a photo of little Lord Featherington, whose name has now been officially confirmed as Elliot.
Welcome to the world, Lord Elliot Bridgerton, Baron Featherington. Very confusing with the naming conventions.
Yeah.
We've already recorded our 308 rewatch.
Yes.
And I think we'll probably keep in the discussion we had there because we were chatting about what we wanted the names to be. We'll just put an insert to be like, we know that it's been confirmed since then.
Or just a little clown sound effect to save ourselves time, perhaps. Yeah.
Were we technically on Team Thomas a little bit more?
Yeah, we were. At some point in the future, Bridgerton, if you would like to take more inspiration from the source material when it comes to the baby names.
Just any book canon. Not George. Don't need that. It is cute though. I'm not mad at it at all. And how sweet. Just the official confirmation absolutely blew my tiny little mind. Which brings us to today, Lecky. Now it's 5:25 or like 25 past the hour that things are released.
Right.
We haven't yet looked at today's date and we thought we'd do a little live reaction for you. I don't know when you'll hear this, so you'll already know it. But are you looking now?
No, I was looking at an Instagram message from one of our Patreon members, Jetty, who said, what do you think of the 12 days of Christmas so far? I hope this answers your question.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That sounds ominous. Jenny, what's happened? Okay, right. Should we click together? Where are you going to check? I've got a Twitter notification.
I'm going to do the Twitter because I have that pulled up already.
1, 2, 3. Click.
Okay. Oh, what on earth?
Oh no. Did you just say, oh no? This Christmas Day, there's one more surprise. Is it the trailer?
What? On Christmas Day.
Live on Netflix. Game day. I'm English. What are we talking about the NFL for?
There's one more surprise game day.
Are they releasing the trailer during the football? I mean, it's American football, isn't it? Not real football.
Oh God, they might. But the thing is, I don't watch football.
And you think I do?
I don't understand their choices.
Okay, this is not a good reaction because I'm bewildered. Okay, says Ben.
The thing is, I'm not a sports person. I don't even recognize the symbols for the teams on the bottom.
We just ruined. There's a star. Hang on, no, they changed though. Hang on, right, okay.
Star, is that the Dallas Cowboys?
You're American. There's a star versus a W, so what's a W?
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna... What?
You're American, Lecky. What do you think I am?
I don't watch sports. Football games are playing on Christmas.
Okay, so there's a star versus the W, 1 p.m. ET. God knows what time that is here.
Okay, can I just ask, why are football people playing on Christmas? Okay, Cowboys versus the Commanders, and then the Lions versus the Vikings. So it's like 10 a.m. The 10 a.m. is when the first game starts, and then the Lions versus the Vikings is 1:30 p.m.
Hang on, but if there's two separate games, then what has this to...
I think it could mean it could air any time between those, or maybe once each. You know what? If you are not a sports person, I'm assuming they're just going to upload it online at the same time that it airs. So that's what we might have to do, because I'm not going to be sitting there watching football, let me tell you. Sorry.
On day 8, on the Shondaland article, it says, Bridgerton times the NFL colour as intrigued, and that is it.
I really wish we weren't getting a trailer on Christmas either, because...
Drastically inconvenient.
Yeah. However, I would approve and welcome, I think, a first look clip in the vein of Cantonese argument outside the ball in season 2, or maybe even the Goodnight Mr. Bridgerton clip. So we'll see what we get. Anyway, thank you, Shondaland. And also, I love that they had Luke Thompson shoot this promo of him bursting into a room and seeing like a football game on TV and be like, what the fuck is this? Time travel AU Benedict.
What time is that in England?
10 a.m. So that would be 6 p.m. for you.
Okay. I assume it's a trailer. What I will say, my lovely, lovely listeners, one and all, we will, of course, react to the trailer as soon as we can. As to when, tricky to say, lives are actively falling apart at a shocking rate around here. Things not going well. So we will do our best. What I will always say, have a look on our Instagram, because we will always post quick reactions on our Instagram and on our Patreon as well. We'll have stuff over there. Just bear with us.
Perhaps this episode comes out after Christmas. I hope you enjoyed the trailer.
Yeah, I hope it was great, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the rest of the other days as well.
And the football game, if you are a football enthusiast, which is also fine. I am not.
With all that said, should we go watch the rest of episode 7?
Yes, and to avoid confusion, when we jump back in, Beans has some other little news to share with everybody.
Beans will be there from a long time ago.
So enjoy.
Bye. Happy Christmas.
Hold on, my cats are being fucking crazy. I will be right back.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about this.
No, we didn't.
Okay, while Beans is sorting out her cats,
Yeah.
the breaking news, because she wasn't in the intro, Beans has got another cat.
I do. I'll explain in a second. Ladies.
She's just currently chasing after said cat, so
Yes.
she'll be back promptly.
What is going on? Okay, they're just being a little crazy, ladies.
Beans, tell us the breaking news in your life beyond the ailments.
Okay. So I got a new kitten. Her name is Gravy. So Biscuit and Gravy.
I love it.
Very American joke there.
Yeah.
I know. I could tell that Biscuit like wanted a friend because she would get like really bored and like lay in the middle of the floor and stuff. And I play with her for like the allotted time, but like, you know.
You're not a cat, babe.
Right. She needed a little bit more stimulation.
Yeah.
She's very playful as well, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
So she's super active as well, which is something to consider.
Right. So I ended up going through a foster, and this woman, I just like got into contact with her. She was like, you know, we found this mom behind a restaurant and she gave birth to 6 kittens. She's also gray, which was actually like very serendipitous. I kind of wanted to get another gray kitten to kind of match Biscuit.
Yeah.
And Biscuit like was terrified of her for the first 24 hours. Now they're inseparable. They love each other. It took a couple of days for them to understand their boundaries, which is normal, but like Biscuit was grooming her by like day 3 and was just like so in love with her, and it's so cute, and I love both of them, and they just love running around and playing with toys and
Cuddling.
and cuddling. Yeah.
Cute.
So it's been one of the highlights of my year, for sure.
They're so cute together as well.
They are.
This is a tonal change, I have to say.
I know.
But we have to go to a stag do, babe.
We sure do. Speaking of pussies. No, I'm kidding.
Well, maybe on the horizon. So we're off to a stag do, guys. We've got a busy few days. And let's not forget, Will had to close his bar and just wave goodbye to his dreams, apparently. So we're making a return visit to White's. Personally, I miss the vibe at Will's, but I don't get a say, so whatever. Over at White's, we find Colin already downing a drink, which doesn't bode too well. To think, only last episode, Veg, you were so proud of him. You were saying, thank God he's not drinking again. It was nice to see him not hungover at the church for the band's reading, but I don't think we'll be able to say the same for the wedding, because presumably now he's going to be drunk, well, hungover the next day. Veg, any words?
Lads.
Lads. Well, talking of the lads, who are the stags in attendance like?
Well, joining Colin's bachelor party, we have Will, Ben, and John. Sadly, there's no Anthony in attendance. I assume the production reason was just that Jonathan Bailey wasn't available for this scene. But as we'll see later when Colin returns home, it's not really addressed why Anthony wasn't out for drinks. It would have been nice to see him there, but we're happy to have John and Will at the table.
I also miss Anthony, but I do love that John and Will have become so close to Colin. They act as like the perfect antithesis to the toxic Lord Squad.
Yeah.
Love them, though I do. And in fact, like when you see the four of them sat around the little table now, it's almost like a complete contrast to the concur with you there scene.
Yeah.
He's got his healthy boys and his healthy friendships. It's very cute.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the Lord Squad, Ovs, because eagle-eyed fans may also spot Lord Fife in the background of the scene. I think also, what's his face? Lord Wilding is also there, but he's more blurry.
What's his face? Like, you have some respect. How dare you?
Listen, my mom is texting me, asking me to crop photos for her, and I'm trying to tell her to Google it.
My God.
I cropped one, so I'm a little distracted. Anyway, sorry.
Give me your mom's number. I'll text her.
Anyway, you can spot Lord Fife and Lord Wilding in the background of the scene. Fife and Lord Wilding initially played a much more significant role in this episode, and there's actually a behind-the-scenes photo of Bert Seymour and Joe Barnes posed with Luke from when they were shooting this scene, I believe, on Bert Seymour's Instagram page. Bert also funnily captioned this with the rose and two demon emojis, which I think the two demons are Fife and Wilding.
Yeah.
Like, clearly this man knows his character.
Anyway, in the meantime, how is our stag looking, Veg?
Colin is wearing a t-shirt which reads "Last Night of Freedom" before the old ball and chain gets attached.
You make that joke now, babe, but you're not far off the mark,
Yeah.
I tell you.
My goodness.
Well, he is thankfully dressed in a slightly less modern stag look. So he's wearing a stunning, rich, velvety black ensemble that he's paired with what I assume is liquor, a melancholy expression, and a brand new waistcoat, which we will touch on in more detail later. All in all, we think Colin looks great here. Apparently, so do some other working women. Oh. Who said that? What?
Teaser. Well, the men are mostly in high spirits, aside from Colin, who unfortunately just seems to be deep in the spirits. Ben jokingly points out that if the stag is too drunk for his wedding, it runs the risk of being shot. It seems like Colin is once again trying to down his troubles. Colin, we've had this conversation with you, babe, many times. We can't keep sitting around this table doing this with you, babe.
I know.
And even Will remarks that he doesn't think anyone can keep up with Colin tonight. Before we get fully into the scene, though, I will say I love this combination of characters, but this one is like slightly depressing because Colin is in such a weird mood throughout this entire scene.
Yeah.
Like, I know he's grumpy, but it's like more than being grumpy. He's just sort of like bitingly on edge.
Disillusioned also.
Yeah. And you know I adore the Colin from Anthony's Stag Do in 206. I miss that sort of light energy from Anthony's Stag Do in 206.
Yeah.
It was just much lighter and playful. But I guess that's the card that you pull when you're the leading character in a season. So grumpy Colin it is.
You're right, because like when Benedict is suggesting that John do like a big romantic gesture,
Yeah.
I feel like a Colin before the Lady Whistledown reveal may have supported him in that because he loves love.
The rocks thing. Ben's like, throw rocks. And Colin's like, no. And it's like, oh, you so would have been doing that 3 episodes ago.
You would, yes.
Yeah.
And the scene description kind of reinforces this by saying that Colin is feeling his own angst. So he's definitely not in a great headspace. Unfortunately, it looks as though Colin's drinking is also rubbing off on those around him, as even John is starting to go heavy on the brandy. John reveals that he doesn't usually drink much, but Lady Bridgerton doesn't like him. So I guess he's drinking away his violet woes.
Oh, God.
Colin points out that our mother does not like you, which isn't that much of a positive.
Yeah, not quite the reassurance he was after there, Colin, but nice try. Benedict cuts in to explain, Lord Kilmartin, our mother, adores you. Adores you.
False.
Although he does concede that their mother does have an obsession with great love stories, which, all right then, I guess everyone don't have that then. Thanks, Ben.
Oh, you're stupid.
Yeah. Though my absolute favourite part about this, maybe this entire scene, is the way Colin furiously is nodding his head in agreement when Benedict is talking about his mum. He's like so drunk, he's just like, yep.
Yeah.
But what's a man to do then, Lecky?
Benedict, clearly preparing for his own love story next year, suggests that John does something foolish, something bold. Declare yourself. Throw rocks at Francesca's window tonight.
Colin's little at the suggestions are so cute.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, when he goes like, no.
Yeah.
The suggestion of the rock throwing. But I still wish we'd gotten a scene of Colin climbing up a tree to Pen's bedroom if we're talking about grand love declarations and gestures. But alas, that dream has died.
But John is intrigued by the notion of being bold, but will need some time to think about it, much to Benedict's exasperation. Maybe you can save your ideas for your own season, Ben. John and Will both decide it's time to head home. Ovs, Will also agrees with you that it's kind of depressing for him to be sitting there in someone else's bar.
Colin asks Will to stay, which is about as close to the stay book moment as we're ever going to get, guys. So soak that up while you've got it. Stay to Will.
I want you to stay.
You win some, you lose some. But the two head out and Ben suggests that it's maybe also time for the brothers to call it a night. But the night isn't through with Colin just yet, and he tells Ben to go on without him because he could use a moment on my own. But he's not going to be on his own for long, is he, Lecky?
No. Although the final version of this episode ends with Colin sitting lost in thought at White's, the original script looked very different. If you aren't new to the podcast, I know you're probably happy the scene was cut. You'll also probably be happy to know that they edited out Colin complaining to Ben that he wanted to enjoy his, quote, last few moments of freedom.
Veg, you were so on the money when you made that joke earlier.
Fucking hell.
He literally would have said that.
In the show, Ben asks Colin if everything is okay with him, and Colin turns the question on his brother. Ben doesn't answer in the show, but originally he replied by saying, I am not the one getting married, to which Colin responded with, let me enjoy my last few moments of freedom, please.
This is when you do your men are trash. My God.
Men are trash, and I'm glad to do away with them.
In his defense, it was cut.
Yes.
Yeah, you've taken yourself out of that equation, babe. No, I am so glad they took that line away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine Colin saying that.
Yeah.
Even if he's like pissed off with Pen, as he is, that is so out of character. So snip, 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 thank you. I also think it's so funny that Benedict clearly knows something is like drastically wrong with his brother. And he just kind of goes, good luck.
Yeah.
Just leaves him to it. It's like, where is the emotional support here?
Yeah.
But I can forgive him because instead we get that adorable moment where Benedict kisses the top of his head. You know, I love it. Nothing brings me greater joy than seeing the moments of the funny physical affection between A, B, and C.
Yeah. After Ben leaves, the script then stayed on Colin as he downed another drink, basically thinking about his predicament. At that point, the camera then would have cut to Fife and Wilding, who would have nodded at Colin. Could they possibly be up to no good? We will find out.
But where, oh where, is our Penelope? Is her hen do in full swing? I can only imagine the hilarity of a Featherington hen do. That would be so cute and funny.
That would be funny. But sorry to disappoint, Ovs, but Pen is not at home with her sisters. Instead, we find her stalking through the streets on her way to Genevieve's shop.
And how is our hen looking? Bachelorette, sorry, whatever she's called.
Well, it's lovely to see Penelope in her famous Lady Whistledown cloak once more. And if you peer closely, you can also spot another reduce, reuse, recycle dress, if I might request from Beans.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Oh my god, beautiful.
It's like the 1990s R&B version. I love it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's R&B.
Want to change things up a little bit.
I don't want you to be ill, but I just appreciate the husk.
Yeah, thank you. That was a delicious surprise. And so, yeah, Pen is wearing a green dress covered in lilac petals that we saw at the beginning of 306.
Oh, very cute one. Genevieve is glad to see Pen and says she'd hoped she'd come by the night before her wedding. I suppose Jen isn't invited to the wedding, is she? So she's not going to get to see her.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a slap in the face. But honestly, if there's anyone you would want at your hen party, it's Jen. Jen and Pen at the hen. So I'm really glad this scene was included.
Sorry. Earlier, Portia said that they were going to get like a quintet. So you can get like a quintet instead of a quartet, but you can't invite the modiste.
At least you saw her in her wedding dress at some point.
Right.
Jen might be feeling celebratory, but Pen quickly stops her in her tracks, revealing that Colin has found out her secret identity.
Oh,
I love Jen's reaction. She just goes, oh dear, and just goes and gets like the booze.
Yeah.
She is who you want in that scenario.
Right.
Pen shares that she's relieved in a way that Colin now knows, as it's been painful carrying the secret.
I think that's the one thing I do like about this episode. It's a weird episode because it's very heavy with drama, and there's not actually a lot of lightness to be found in any of the subplots either. It's all sort of very laden down.
Yeah.
And any sense of celebration is overshadowed by the fallout that they end up having. But what I do like about this episode is that everything is in the open, and it's like at least she's not having to carry the weight of the secrecy anymore. It's like it might have gone to shit, but do you know when you're carrying something or you know something's going to happen and you start dreading it, and it's so much worse the anticipation of it?
Yeah.
Because all the versions of it plays out in your head. And then sometimes the aftermath is just easy because you're like, okay, it's gone to shit, but like at least it's over.
Yeah.
At least I know what's happened. And it's like, okay, he knows it's a disaster, but at least you know what you're dealing with. You don't have to torment yourself with imagining what's going to happen.
It's like out of her hands now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, she then says he hates me for it. So I don't know that that's like the most cheerful lay of the land, but you know, at least you know he hates you.
It's one of those things where like when you're in a new relationship with someone and then you guys have your first argument and you go to your sister or your friend and you're like, we're going to break up. He doesn't love me. I'm a terrible person. I showed him that I'm like not who I am, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, calm the fuck down.
That is so true.
Pen accepts that Colin has every right to hate her for her secret and worries that she is not worthy of him.
I swear to God, the amount of conversations that you have with other people about not being worthy.
Y'all need therapy.
At least their individual arcs tie into their love stories. But it kind of reminds me of their book arc, where, if you remember, they eventually realised that they were both flawed characters who loved each other's imperfections. I liked that, and I think that was missing from the season. Kind of like, we've both made mistakes. We're both not perfect people, but there's an equality in the fact that we're not both perfect people, and there's sort of a liberation in that you love each other for your flaws as well.
Very Emma of them.
I don't think that was articulated in the season.
Yeah.
What does Book Pen say? She says something like, you're the imperfect man of my heart.
Yeah.
I wish that element of we're both flawed people had been included.
Yeah. We'll discuss this later, but the post-wedding argument, maybe instead of being about feminism and the plight of women in this world, maybe it could have been more about their imperfections and also, you know, her needing Lady Whistledown in writing. But anyway, there was actually some really interesting cut dialogue from this scene that not only answered one of the great mysteries of Bridgerton, what's up with Jen's fake accent, but it also revealed that she had found a new lover this season, Basilio.
Lecky, I remember being obsessed when you first told me about Jen and Basilio. What a plot twist to go from Pen trying to flirt with him in 302 to then finding out he'd been Jen's hookup all along. But I don't think Basilio could handle Genevieve. I know we met him at a low moment. So Beans, if you remember, he's the guy whose horse had died and he was crying at the ball.
Yep.
He's a nice guy. I don't know that he can handle Jen.
No. But maybe he likes being told what to do, you know?
Now that I could see. What a little side hookup. So Lecky, do you have the cut line from the script?
So after Genevieve says, you were a girl who did not know your own power, how could you in this world? She said, I too had ill judgment in my youth. I pursued the promise of freedom at the expense of nearly everyone around me, including poor Gabriel, which was like a lover she had in France. And she says, but I'm glad about where I have come to. Penelope says, does that justify it? And Genevieve says, no, but there is no going back to the past. All one can do is be true to one's choices and look forward. And if one is lucky, one might not have a Gabriel anymore, but one might have a Lord Basilio instead. And Penelope, very scandalized, is like, Genevieve! And she says, do not write about that in Whistledown.
So she's still with him? I don't know, going from Ben to Lord Basilio.
She rejects Benedict.
Cute, congrats.
I know. Get a titled man.
Who seems very, like, stuffy, but also, like, a man who likes animals, you know, is probably a good person.
Ride him like a horse, Jen.
Is that where Penelope gets the advice from for 308?
Oh, there we go.
You know, speaks for herself. She's got to learn somewhere.
I would love for them to do the Jen miniseries, but I feel like that would be too far off from where they're going right now.
Oh my God.
That would be good.
What a woman.
Maybe after next season when they start exploring the other side of the town, like servants and stuff, that would be a good spin-off.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Who's this Gabriel you're mentioning, babe?
So Genevieve originally shared that she was almost married in Paris to a guy named Gabriel, remarking, I did not get that counterfeit French accent from nowhere. She adds that they were nearly married and that Gabriel was a dream, but he could not stand it when her business prospered.
Ugh.
So I think this was cut because Jen's explanation about why her relationship with Gabriel failed seems a little too on the nose. it's just so similar to the Polin situation with her lover also being jealous of her being a successful woman that it may have seemed a bit forced.
Yeah, but it's very common.
Yeah. But it just seems like so similar.
Yeah.
But it is a thing that many women deal with.
I mean, they could have developed it better because I understand what you're saying. They just sort of like threw it out there. Like,
Yeah.
So that I understand. They didn't really like develop it in a way that would make a difference to the story that is currently being told.
Yeah, it's like, Beans, had you always known that there was something in Jen's past and that there'd always been this pull and you never really knew it was a mystery, and then she sort of confesses what it is and you're like, oh my gosh, that was built up so beautifully, instead of just being like, do you know, like when you're telling your friends like a sincere problem that you have and it's like an urgent problem?
Yeah.
And you're like, I just want to tell you. And then they just go off about something that happened to them years ago.
Doesn't really make sense.
It's great that you're being helpful, but like, can we come back to me for a minute?
Yeah.
I feel like the only way this would maybe have worked is if in part 1, Penelope went to visit Genevieve, and Genevieve mentions, this man from my past has come to London, like he's come back into her life and like brought him back to her mind. And she's like, oh, why is he upsetting you? And of course, Genevieve then explains it. And then they come back and revisit that conversation in a little more detail here. But they just apparently didn't have time for these sorts of things.
Also, does Jen know that Pen hit on Basilio? Where's the girl code in that? But I wonder, she's like, yeah, he told me. He told me what you said to him.
Yeah.
You slid up to him at the ball. I know everything.
That would almost have been funnier.
Yeah, like a light moment.
Yeah, it would be like a little lighthearted moment where Penelope would be like, I was practicing flirting or whatever. And I think Genevieve would have laughed over it and it would have been cute.
Yeah, I agree that the focus needed to be on Pen in this moment without having to shoehorn in that backstory. I do love Jen. I love the lore and everything, but I think the power of the scene lies in the simplicity of Jen's advice. She gives really insightful advice at a time she really needs it. And so I think having it as simple as possible without sort of flowery storytelling, it resonates a lot quicker.
Without like a little info dump of exposition about her backstory.
It's like, just on me for a moment.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you're talking about it being like a direct parallel, it's like, oh, I was in the same situation too. She was like, I had a guy who was just jealous of me because I had a business that was successful. It's like, you have to give Colin the credit that his issue does resonate with that, but it's also more nuanced than just causing a direct parallel to that.
Yeah.
Let his journey speak for itself.
Yeah, because Colin isn't necessarily upset just that Pen is more successful than him. He doubts his own talent and he feels insecure because of that. And then there's also the betrayal of Lady Whistledown. But anyway, speaking of the different versions of Penelope, Genevieve concedes that Pen has made some ill-considered choices, but Pen was a girl who did not know her own power. I really liked this line from Jen. She's exactly the kind of friend that Penelope needs in season 3, and we definitely miss seeing her in the middle of the season, but she's played a really important role in 306 and 307. She doesn't fully exonerate Penelope of any mistakes, nor does she crucify her for them. Instead, she helps Penelope accept what has already passed, make peace with her choices, and encourages her to look forward. And then she gets Pen a drink, which also probably helps.
Jen asks if Pen will give up publishing, as she hasn't published a new issue this week. Pen shares that Lady Whistledown is on hiatus for the moment out of respect for Colin and his anger, but she's struggling to give it up the way that she did in 306. She says, I felt like I was losing a part of myself, referring to last episode when she had tried to force herself to put her pen down permanently. And at this point, Jen offers the important advice that there is no such thing as true love until you embrace your true self first. I like that. It feels like a really interesting contrast to, if you remember Eloise in 305, she said, Colin will never love you until he knows who you are. I like the kind of inversion here. It's like Jen is saying, you do need to come to terms with who you really are, because that piece is the way that you move forward with true love. It's sort of like a more helpful piece of advice for Pen on her journey.
I also really like that line. It almost feels like a thesis statement for part 2. And I feel like this is the line that should have been revisited after the wedding. I felt like I was losing part of myself because I feel like that would resonate with Colin as a writer, having his voice stripped from him if he gave it up the way that she was contemplating doing.
Oh, I like that. It would make sense because she had this conversation the night before.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's still in her head, that perspective.
Yeah.
Their conflict being in that final thing being like, I love you completely. I can't give away a part of myself.
Right.
You're a writer. You should know this. Being so connected to your art is who you are.
that would resonate with Colin because the last couple episodes he's mentioned even to Will and the others that he was struggling with writer's block and stuff like that, not being able to find his voice, and then finally finding it because he felt confident in his relationship with Penelope and having that stripped away just by the insecurities that were brought to light by the Lady Whistledown reveal. I feel like it would have just tied into both their arcs at that point.
Yeah, and it's influenced by writing. He could have still been angry at the end of the wedding, but what he would have gone away with was her words of, you need to love yourself before you can love me.
Right.
So he can go internalize that and be like, you need to sort out your own shit internally as well. And then we'll both move forward.
Yeah.
But alas, we'll get to the post-wedding speech later. With that piece of advice, Jen raises a toast to Pen's wedding eve. She goes, happy wedding eve. She's adorable. Cheers, Jen. Pen, babe, you're a lightweight. The way that she immediately starts like choking on a drink, pathetic. I love you, Pen.
And we also love Jen. What can we say? We appreciate working women on this pod. And speaking of working women, Colin indeed is appreciated by some working women in this episode, and not just Lady Whistledown. As we all know, in the final version of this episode, we leave Colin alone at White's, lost in thought. We then cut to Penelope on her way to the Modis, and Polin end up having their confrontation in the street later that night. But Colin's time at White's went a very different direction in the original version of the script. So originally, we would have returned to White's at this point, where Colin was joined by none other than Ambrosia, one of the, quote, ladies of the night who entered the club, kind of like in season 1 when Sienna propositioned Simon.
Guys, we've got another cut scene. I've got another round of casting to do. Very difficult decisions. I thought about it long and hard. Lecky, you're reprising your role of scene descriptor.
Sure.
Veg, it's your turn to shine. You are our lovely lady of the night, Ambrosia. Beans, that means you're in the interesting position of being cast as Colin.
Damn.
So we're just going to start off by letting the scene speak for itself. Okay, so immediately following, Ben has exited, pursued by a bear. Lecky, take it away.
Interior White's night. Back at the bar, Colin is still deep in his drink when suddenly there's a music change and a buzz throughout the crowd. Colin turns to see ladies of the night stepping into the room. He raises a brow before turning back to his drink, but we stay back as a confident young woman, Ambrosia, whispers with Fife and Wilding before heading Colin's way.
Good evening, sir.
Oh.
Colin sees her and offers a polite but curt smile.
Good evening.
You're looking rather solitary.
I shall not be for long. I am to be married tomorrow.
As in, no thanks. But Ambrosia is undeterred.
Well, a man should not drink by himself the night before he's to be shackled.
Leg shackled.
Shackled.
The night before he is to be leg shackled.
She was too busy fluttering her eyelashes.
Things are tingling.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now.
Your concern is most appreciated, but it is not necessary. I assure you there are plenty of other supposed gentlemen in here tonight who would be happy to make your acquaintance.
Ambrosia cocks her head with a little smile.
You aren't like the rest of them then. You're more thoughtful, kind. A lot running around in that head.
God.
Colin turns toward her just slightly, not hating her words. Ambrosia puts a hand on his leg.
Fucking stupid. Sorry. I'll comment on the scene later.
You might be exactly the kind of man I need. Someone who will treat me well. Someone who can take care of me. Someone to protect me from the rest of these heathens. Will you?
She's really playing up her helplessness with that last bit. As she says this, she runs her hands up Colin's leg, speaking to that deep part of him that wishes to be needed. Her hand is reaching up toward his manhood, and just before she gets there, Colin reaches down and puts his hand on her hand.
Excuse me.
Her eyes crackle with success, and for a moment we think it's on, but then he pushes her hand down and away.
My guess is you can protect yourself. I should get home.
And he goes. As he does, that helpless look Ambrosia was offering Colin settles back into a confident smirk as she circles back to Fife and Wilding. She points at Fife.
You owe me 50 quid.
Wilding, clearly the victor, punches Fife in the shoulder.
Oh shit, we don't have a Wilding. I'll be Wilding.
Wilding.
I'm Wilding. I told you he would not take the offer. I can't do a Wilding. I can't be Joe Barb.
I told you he would not take that offer.
There we go. Thank you, Beans.
Off Fife's defeat, cut to the next scene.
I felt things.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to feel things. I feel like we delved into a different genre of audio book there.
No, I feel like we tapped into the scene. I feel like that is probably what it sounded like.
I was there. I was there, babe.
Yeah.
What a scene. I have many thoughts.
Yes.
I think firstly we should clarify that this scene was in the final shooting draft, wasn't it, Lecky?
Right.
And it was actually filmed.
The reason we're pretty sure this was shot is because Andrea Valls, who plays Ambrosia, commented on several of Joe Barnes's posts in the lead up to part 2. And he replied, setting the scene for your arrival, referring to the scene. And of course, they would know each other because they were in the same scene together. But he was alluding to the fact that he would see her in part 2. But of course, then that never ended up happening. So he posted about that like slightly before part 2 came out. So I think they maybe like removed it very late, or Andrea Valls wasn't informed until like right before part 2 came out that her part was cut.
Because we did know about the character of Ambrosia, didn't we?
Yes.
Also, was there something that either Luke or Nick said in an interview that there was a moment of Colin that was like a bit dodgy?
Yeah.
Yes. So when asked in an interview about what fans would think of Colin's behavior in season 3, Nicola responded that she was fuming at one point. Luke laughed and implied that fans were not going to be happy, specifically about something later on in the series, which we think may have been this scene. Luke continued by addressing Nicola, recalling that she had said, quote, "I hate this." She agreed, saying, "I hate it," before adding, "It's not like she's being cheated on, but even being an imaginary couple, I don't like the idea of that. In real life, it's fine, but on screen, you're mine."
Well, if you want to take a trip down memory lane.
Do we?
Do we? That's the question. Way before the season came out, do you remember when someone discovered the casting?
Yes.
So we found out there was a character called Ambrosia, played by Andrea Valls. And the only information that we had was a character name, Ambrosia.
Right.
The director for her scenes was Tom Verica, so it's episode 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And there was a piece of information that Andrea had shared a scene with Luke Newton.
Yes.
The spiraling was like nothing you've seen, because everyone was immediately convinced that Colin was cheating on Pen with Ambrosia.
Yeah.
In some capacity. And the fact is, we knew it was going to be episode 7 or 8. And so it was like, at that stage in the story, you're going to introduce...
Yeah.
I think because you tried to calm everyone down and be like...
I did, yeah.
Just because she's a woman...
As always, good job.
in the same scene does not mean it's going to go that direction. And there's a lot of panic about what the character would be. That was the only name, Ambrosia. Like, everyone delved into the meaning of the name Ambrosia because it's connected with like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And it's the food of the gods and everything like that. All these different theories.
People thought she was maybe like a bartender who gives Colin a pep talk when he was feeling low about Lady Whistledown.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that was one. That was one of the leading theories.
I mean, she gave him something.
Yeah. We were trying to like make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like a flashback.
Yeah.
Into like his travels or something. And then, if you remember, just before the season came out, there was all those rumours that people had seen advanced screenings of the episodes.
Yeah.
That suggested he visited some kind of like brothel or something the night before the wedding. Like this setup.
They misconstrued it, but they were obviously referring to this scene.
They misunderstood it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it was kept in at that stage and then taken out. Or we don't know if they were misinterpreting the comment about secret dealings.
Yeah.
And then when season 3 came out, Ambrosia was nowhere to be seen. And everyone was incredibly confused about who this character had been.
Right.
It was just a complete mystery until Lecky, you were able to get your hands on the scripts. And you finally solved the mystery that she did appear in, but her scene was cut.
Yeah.
So why was any of this relevant, you ask? Well, the script tells us that Ambrosia was appealing to Colin's desire to be needed, really playing up his insecurities to add more tension to and give more weight to Polin's argument outside the modiste.
It's a very interesting scene. What do you think? Are you glad it was removed?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Doesn't it just feel like so unnecessary at this point to just throw it in there?
Yeah, they made it bad enough already.
Right.
All the directions they went with their relationship before they threw them back together at the end. I'm sure I rant about it, but to have this as well, it just was doing too much. Unnecessary. And at a certain point, you detract from the love story.
Because what does it achieve?
Yeah, I don't think you want to see him having an interaction with another woman like that the night before his wedding.
Even though he clearly turns it down.
Right. And this whole thing about her appealing to his desire to be needed, they literally reference that within the modiste argument.
Yeah.
So you didn't even really need that, I don't think.
I also don't really understand the obsession with like trying to make the men as awful as possible before they get married. There were a lot of decisions they made for Colin, and we've talked about them previously, that I think were so out of character, even with him trying to pretend to be cool and whatever. And so I think just making this it would make me like dislike him as a leading man.
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have done anything though. It wasn't his fault that he was like the victim of a prank.
Right.
But it's also like forcing him into a situation like this where he doesn't even immediately leave.
An uncomfortable situation.
You're kind of like, do we need to see this?
It's also borderline assault, honestly.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, I'm not going to go so far as to say it was, but like sort of forcing a woman upon him that his friends are doing to this point where like he maybe feels like he can't say no or whatever.
And he's rejected her multiple times in the scene and she still remains there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like very uncomfortable. And I think sometimes like in the series alone, they've like played off assaults almost as a joke sometimes. Like they really sweep it under the rug and make it seem like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I really have a problem with that in TV shows is that they'll kind of like underplay men's sexual assault. Not just like Bridgerton. Like, for example, like I like the show The Boys and like they've gone way too far with that sometimes because they feel like culturally people tend to like make fun of that or think it's not as serious as it is. So like there is a discomfort here in that we don't necessarily want to see a woman coming on to Colin like repeatedly and like not listening to him when he says that he's not interested.
Yeah.
Like, what does the scene achieve? The only thing it would achieved is he didn't want to do it and he just walked off.
Right.
I think this was replaced by the brothel scenes, especially the one in 304. So basically they were using this scene to show that Penelope was really the only woman for Colin.
And that even in his anger, he was still completely 100% committed, all in to be married the next day.
Right. And I feel like they decided to include the brothel scenes instead to show that even though he's having these sexual relationships with other women, there's something missing for him. So they kind of tackled that issue in a different way earlier in the season with the reshoots. But yeah, I'm glad this was cut.
Okay, so I don't know if that's better or worse.
But I'm glad this was cut.
Yeah.
I think the reason I wouldn't have liked it as well is you can read in the script how it would have been played off. At no point was he going to go for it.
Right.
Like, as a character, that's very clear. But the show was going to make you think that he was in the way they shot it.
Yeah, yeah. And we all know that the Bridgerton audience tends to not take things in the way they're meant to be taken.
And the pausing while he like
Deliberates.
to have him pause such that the audience thinks he's gonna say yes.
Yeah.
Because the description is, and just before she gets there, Colin reaches down and puts his hand on her hand. Her eyes crack with success, and for a moment we think it's on. But then he pushes his hand down and away.
It's playing with us.
And his intention was always going to be that.
Yes, but it's misdirection. So the audience is meant to worry.
To what end would that be? So I'm really glad it was cut.
It's almost like they want us to be afraid that Penelope and Colin won't get down the aisle and won't get married.
Yeah.
But there's already so much drama earlier in this episode that's making us question whether that's going to happen anyway, that you didn't really need this on top of it.
Right.
To make him like the butt of their jokes, it's like by this point he's moved away from that group of people and he's moved into a healthier group that we've seen earlier. So interesting though that Wilding thought he wouldn't go for it and Fife thought he would. That's interesting.
I think that just shows that Fife is the worst of the two. Worst of the bunch.
Stop it. I'm clinging to him before we get to season 4 and he's revealed to be Cavender. God help me. Yeah, so for a start, I'm glad that we solved the mystery of Ambrosia because that was annoying everybody.
Right. We do like answers, so.
Yes, we like answers. It is a shame. I would have liked for her character, Andrea Voss, to be in the show in some capacity. Maybe not a scene like this, but I think it is a real pity that she wasn't in the show. She actually makes like really funny like sketches on Instagram.
Yeah.
I will say, glad it was cut. Thankfully, that did not happen. Fife did not win the bet, and Colin's night at White's was far less eventful than it could have been. But now we have to go pay a quick visit to Benedict. Lecky, what is he up to?
As Ben stares at Lady Tilly's Colin card, contemplating an offer from a gentlewoman. By the way, right after this scene was when he was supposed to go hook up with Tilly and Paul initially, but they moved it to the wedding. We'll talk about it later.
To the wedding?
Why wouldn't you? What a perfect place for it, right in the middle of the wedding.
They did reshoots, so we'll talk about that later. Anyway.
Well, Ben, you have a think on that, darling. We're off for a little walk because a very tall shadow is busy. I need to think of a different word than stalking. We've already used that. Is busy striding through the streets.
Sweeping? Because his coat sweeps.
Sweeping through this, swooshing through the streets. There we go, guys. I don't know why only S words were acceptable there, but that's it. Yep, it's our one and only Colin Bridgerton making his way home from White's, thankfully, without being propositioned by any women on his way out. Mm-hmm. I call that a win.
Yeah.
I love any scene of Colin walking angrily in a street. It's very book Colin of him. Mm-hmm. Veg, how is this dark, moody shadow looking?
Well, he's added a fabulous coat to the ensemble that we have seen just a couple of scenes ago. But long coat, love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we get some excellent coat swishing here, 10 out of 10, as Colin bumps into his equally swishy fiancé on the street outside Genevieve's shop. The scene description for this moment is also pretty great, reading, "A drunk Colin makes his way home through the night, in his feels." Colin Bridgerton, all feels, all the time. But anyway, as he turns a corner, he's shocked as he comes upon Penelope, and the two exchange a loaded stare that apparently sobers them both on the spot.
They're like, this bitch again. Oh. Quick note, I love the lighting in the scene. It's so dramatic and dark and swooshy and misty. Lots of dark fingers for getting... No, it's not the percent.
Excuse me.
The fingers are also in shadow, to be fair.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah.
Lots of dark corners for being fingered in, I guess. But the show has, as we know, played the idea of light and shadows throughout the whole season. So light, shadows, truth, secrecy. And this is a really dramatic way to let it fully play out. Mm-hmm. And location fans, we're back on Woburn Walk. This is a real street in London, and it kind of looks exactly like this. These are real facades. They're still there. Obviously, it doesn't have the flowers and the set dressing, but it's a really cool place to go and walk around, and the perfect place for a late night hookup, I hear.
Oh.
A late night confrontation.
A little finger down the alley.
So to speak. Well, it's definitely a confrontation for now, but the music is silenced as the two enter the frame and come to a stop. Colin is less than thrilled to see her and asks, "What are you doing out here?" Penelope begins to answer, but Colin cuts her off by saying, "No, in fact, do not answer that. It is clear I found you in the midst of some secret dealings. I do not wish to know."
He then walks straight past Penelope and presumably just going to leave her in the street.
It's a habit at this point.
Right.
What's the plan here, babe? I know that you like to have a dramatic swoosh, but it's like, he's just like, fine, I'll leave you out here in the middle of the street with no one around.
Yeah.
You carry on, babe.
But Penelope is not ready to let him walk away from her, and so counters, "And what secret dealings have I found you in the midst of all alone the night before our wedding?" She's insinuating that he's been out visiting a brothel, but I really don't think she actually believes that's where he's been. She's just trying to provoke a reaction from him and pull him back into a conversation. But it's funny how close she was to the truth.
Well, you know, not far off the mark. And it certainly works for Pen as Colin rounds back on her and asks what right she has to ask that after all the secrets you have kept, all the things you've written over the years, all of the damage you have done. You know, let us know how you really feel, Colin. Jesus.
Yeah.
Colin is understandably hurt by her insinuation, and in the original script, Colin would have just turned Ambrosia down at White's, specifically not getting involved with any secret dealings the night before his wedding, because he obviously loves Penelope. So Pen suggesting that he had been with someone would have been especially relevant to that cutscene, hence why Colin was so angered by her accusation here. I also just want to mention the blocking in this scene, because it is also very clever. As we all know, there is a pretty noticeable height difference between Pen and Colin, which means that he is usually towering over her. However, when Penelope runs into Colin in the street, knowing they're about to have a confrontation, she steps onto the curb next to her, bringing her up to Colin's eye level for their conversation. It helps establish her power in the scene, not only with being ready to have a difficult conversation with Colin, but also to take accountability for her actions and to try to physically and emotionally see eye to eye with him.
And our listener Marissa commented on this as well. She said, the blocking during that argument really goes hand in hand with the change in their conversation, e.g. Colin stepping up on the step to chastise Pen for being outside at night. I'm curious of the direction of the script. I don't believe they had that direction.
Nope.
I think it sounds like they worked with the space they had.
And the director.
Yeah.
Obviously as well, because of the height difference, it's difficult to film close shots where they're both in the same frame, right? So having that height difference diminish makes it easy from a shooting perspective. But I really do think you can see the power exchange throughout this scene as they sort of go up and down the curb.
Yeah. But I feel like it is partly to make it easier to shoot this scene, but it was obviously very intentional to show like the power dynamic between them. It adds so many more layers to the scene.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I just love the audience kind of got a chance here to see Pen fully explain her reasons for like why she wrote what she did in different scenarios. Obviously, I'm a Pen defender till the end of my days. If there are no Pen defenders, please mourn me.
We will.
And so I loved that she got this literal platform to say everything, and it was especially important to people who do criticise her sometimes, and also just casual viewers who might have been like, oh, wasn't Penelope the person who wrote blah, blah, blah? Just to see all the rationale like laid out in front of them, I thought was a good moment that I'm glad they put in.
And while we're just touching on the blocking and the filming, what I noticed is when Penelope is explaining herself and sort of batting away everything he's saying, if you look, when the shot is on Pen, it's really steady, the shot. And then when you go to Colin in those moments, it's like a shaky cam. So it's kind of representing that she's kind of staying pretty stoic and steady in her conviction in what she's saying. And he's like mentally like all over the place and emotionally all over the place. So I thought that was another way that they really played with this scene to sort of get that relationship across.
It's clever.
And Pen is definitely in the mood for taking accountability. Instead of meeting Colin's explosive words, you know, she could have easily been like, how dare you turn around and say that to me? She brings it back. She nods in acceptance and she says, you were right. I realise how much damage I have done and I'm so sorry for all of it. When Colin challenges her about Eloise, Penelope truthfully shares that she was trying to protect her friend and now realises how misguided she was in her attempt. I think that's a lot of Jen's words actually resonating with her, that yes, you've made mistakes, but you were young and you didn't know you're in power. So she's almost empowered by what her friend has just said to go into this confrontation.
For sure.
She's not trying to downplay and lie or sort of be like, well, you don't know the difficulties I face. She's like, yeah, I did. And I'm sorry. And I take accountability. I stand by it and I stand by who I am.
Yeah.
But I understand the way you feel.
She doesn't even say, like, for example, with Eloise, I was trying to save your sister from the queen.
Yeah.
She doesn't get into any of that. She just accepts that she took agency away from them. You know what I mean? Like, she made decisions that maybe she shouldn't have been making on her own that affected others without kind of considering what they would want her to do.
Right.
She had good intentions that weren't always executed in the most perfect way because she was often under pressure.
Right.
And I do really like this aspect of Pen's arc in episode 7. I think it would be totally understandable if she spent most of the episode like crying or panicking or hiding away after the complete disaster of everything. But instead, she sort of accepts the situation she's found herself in. She feels relief in the fact that everything's in the open. And she tries to take accountability for who she is and what she's done without bowing down.
Yeah.
So she's saying, yes, I have made mistakes, but I'm still standing by who I am. And I'm still standing by that I want to continue. And I like that sort of nuance of the way she's standing up for herself.
Yeah. I do think she has things to reckon with, obviously, but also kind of feels like she's taking responsibility for things that everybody else also says half the time too.
Yeah.
It's like they want to put a face to just the concept of gossip in general. And it feels like they're punishing her for profiting off of something they all
engage in.
Yeah.
And I think with Colin, it's like, what are you really upset about here?
Right.
And I think that's what you're drilling down to throughout this whole scene. It's that sort of superficial level of, I'm mad about Marina and I'm mad about Eloise. And it's like, okay, that's not quite the truth, is it? And then you go down to the next level and you're like, okay, but that's not the whole truth, is it? And then you finally get down to it.
Right. You know, it reminds me of this very classic proverb.
Wisdom from Beans.
One from the books of time. And it goes like this. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Aristotle.
Yes.
That's how it feels.
Yeah.
But Veg, Marina mentioned?
We then get Marina brought back up again, which is just great. Just great.
You're thrilled.
Love that.
Colin challenges Pen on what she wrote about Miss Thompson. Excuse me, Colin, that should be Lady Crane to you.
Right, bitch?
Bitch.
Let it go.
Thank you very much. And Marissa had something to say about this as well. She said, when Colin said, and when you wrote about Miss Thompson, you can faintly hear Pen whisper, what? I've watched this a million times and I hear it clear as day, but it doesn't show in the subtitles. I'm curious if this was in the script or an acting choice from Nicola.
No, not in the script.
Breaking news.
That is pure improv, absolute improv. Well, he wants an answer as to why Pen exposed her as she did, ruining her. Anytime I say that, I'm like, is your life really ruined, Blair? Penelope says that she thought she was protecting him, to which he replies, you should have told me to my face. We've done this rewatch for a long fucking time. I have consulted the episodes past. I'm pretty fucking sure she tried. Right.
Yeah.
Lecky?
She did. No, she did, for sure.
Yep.
But again, Penelope doesn't explain herself here. She just kind of like lets it slide.
Yeah.
Whatever. But this is a frustrating part of their conversation for a lot of fans, I think. Because if we remember back to season 1, episode 6, Penelope did try to tell Colin, but he wouldn't listen. I think many of us wanted Penelope to stand up for herself a little more in this moment and remind him that she did try, as I said. But instead, But she simply tells Colin that she knows she should have told him, so we don't quite get that resolution.
Yeah, our listener Erin said, the line that always makes me angry is, you should have told me about Marina in their argument outside the Modiste. The fact of the matter is, Pen does tell Colin that Marina loves another man.
Yeah.
We have to remember, Pen at that point had very limited knowledge of sex, thanks to Colin. Thanks, Colin. She knows a little bit more now. She's about to learn even more in the street 3 minutes later, darling. Marina tells Pen she got pregnant because of love. So in a roundabout way, Pen is telling Colin that Marina is pregnant and he brushes it off. Why do you think Pen doesn't throw this in Colin's face, but instead takes the blame? Because it's a very valid point to be like, okay, maybe I didn't explicitly say X, Y, Z, but in the terms I knew, in the way I could, I tried to engage. And she was like, she's in love with someone else and he didn't even care.
I have 2 thoughts.
I want to hear both.
The writers forgot, number one.
It's been a long time, guys.
I feel like that's entirely valid because they also switched the whole team for this. So
yeah. Well, it's like the way that in the series, Colin offers to help Pen find a husband and then later Pen is like, I would never would have asked you. It's like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened.
2, I think it's also one of those things where you're fighting with someone and then you're like trying to just like get your thoughts together. And then after you're like, you know what? I did fucking tell that bitch that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then you're like, fuck, I should have said that later. But like emotions are so high and adrenaline is running that you're just kind of like, you forget yourself. So I think it was just like, she could have, but so much was going on. And she wasn't thinking about Marina until he brought her up. So like, she probably wasn't remembering everything that happened between them. She was just like trying to re-center herself to have this argument, you know? Whereas like, Colin has been thinking about this, ruminating over it for whatever, however long. She has not been. She's been moving on.
I think a big part of this conversation is just about her taking accountability. Yeah. So she doesn't want to make excuses because she knows that the situation with Colin is so fraught that she's not going to be like, well, I did it for this reason.
Yeah, that too.
But for this specific one, because he says, then you should have told me to my face. And she says, I know.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that Penelope would say, I know, because she did try.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Bean said, that she's just so flustered. She's just trying to continue the conversation and make her point that she is sorry for her part in all of the drama she's created without getting into the nitty gritty. But I also think she is very flustered when he does bring up Marina.
Yeah. I mean, she's well within her right. I would have done it. I'd be like, you know what, bitch? I did fucking tell you.
I fucking did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's maybe that thing as well where, do you know when you're having a bad argument with someone and you think of something in your head, you're like, I could say this, but it's going to make it 10 times worse.
Right.
Yes.
It's like a bit of rationale that comes to you. You're like, if I throw out every weapon I have in my arsenal, I'm going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Right.
She goaded him into the argument, not because she wanted an argument, but she wanted him to just stop being so dismissive.
Right.
He was walking away and she was like, get back here so we can have a fucking conversation and get on the same page.
Yeah.
And she's taking accountability. So in that moment, she's probably in the back of her head being like, I did fucking tell you, but if I say that now, it's just going to make it worse. We're just trying to get on the same page. And she's like, yeah, I know.
Right.
Because it's like turning it back on Colin.
Yeah.
To say like, you weren't listening to me. But that's not the point.
Because he would interpret that as like another attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's trying to concede ground, being like,
Right.
I've made mistakes. Fair enough. So it's somewhere in there, I think.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like, if I'm being honest, I feel like Colin also has things that he needs to apologize for and take responsibility for that he hasn't. One of those being that like he has overlooked.
Veggie's clapping.
Preach.
He has overlooked things Penelope has said to him multiple times.
Yeah.
So I seriously think that like Penelope was well within her right to be like, I'm going to say it again, but listen, bitch, like,
Be like, it wasn't the first fucking time either.
yeah, you're not out here as like Mr. Perfect. I haven't done anything, whatever. But the thing is, I feel like Pen was also like, we're in the middle of the street. We're both fucking arguing right now. It's the middle of the night. Like, we got to get out of here. And it's one of those things where sometimes you swallow your pride and instead of being right, you think of like, what is a greater offense in this right now? He is still reacting to everything that happened. I can't then just throw out like, well, there are all of these times you haven't listened to me, whatever. Well, I do think like if Bridgerton were a more mature program, it is mature, but I'm saying emotionally intelligent.
No, I know what you mean.
I think that there would have been room for it to be like, well, I understand all this is happening, Colin. And I also understand that I have spoken to you before, but it goes to show that like you didn't respect my opinion or like necessarily take me seriously until until you saw me as a serious romantic prospect.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think, a very real conversation that could have been had in that moment. But again, you're walking this like line of, am I pushing blame onto him because I don't want to take accountability for myself?
Yeah.
Or am I trying to find equal ground because I think there's also this like issue here between us as well?
I think that would have been a healthier way to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly what Bean said.
I don't know, the fingering was, she was pretty happy with that.
But it would not lead to a resolution where I think that they would maybe be in a better place about getting married the next day.
Yeah.
Whereas her sidestepping this allows them to rediscover their love for each other through their passion for one another.
Yeah.
And to finally get down the aisle. But the conversation that Bean suggested, which is like, Colin, you've made mistakes. You've kind of overlooked me in some ways too. I feel like that would introduce more doubts and it wouldn't be resolved in 2 episodes.
Right. That's true.
Agreed.
It could have tied into like the idea of imperfection that we were talking about earlier, but
But in 2 episodes, no.
I think you're totally right. This is not the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like we're walking down the aisle in 10 hours.
Yeah.
Unless there's like this moment where they both are like arguing and then Pen just goes, so then what the fuck are we doing? And then they start making out anyway because like the tension is still there, you know?
And this is the thing, like you also from a storytelling perspective, because you're getting to that moment where she's like, I love you. And then they hook up.
Right.
You can't really stop that momentum to be like, well, actually, on the 5th of May,
Right.
1813, I remember it's like that perspective kills the buildup of it as well.
Yeah. This isn't a love story between Virgos.
God, isn't that the truth? It's like, what is the aim for this conversation? Is it to actually be like, let's air out every mistake everyone's ever made, or be like, you haven't looked at me in a week and we get married tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are we doing it or not?
Right.
Are you still in there?
And if you need me to take accountability, I will. And this is me doing that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If that's the concession I'm making for us to get past this. And also, it's like, tomorrow night, you'll have a massive argument and it'll be way worse. So save all your best, all your best lines for tomorrow, darling.
Also, like, you probably could have had that conversation. It would have been longer. It would have been like a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
And we would have been exhausted by the end and still reached this conclusion of like, well, what are you trying to say to me? Like, do you love me? Yes. Like, not that this isn't unresolved, but also, why are we arguing like this? Why?
And that would have like completely changed this episode and even the end of the season, because then we wouldn't even need the Cantony scene where Kate's like, oh, but you love her. Does your love outweigh the problems you're facing, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But also just like a healthy resolution to a problem on Bridgerton is not going to happen.
Yes. And what is truly the problem at hand?
Right.
Yes, you're upset that she put her life in danger. Yes. She's okay though. And she's proven for years that she's gone down these streets. She's talked to these people. She has been okay. She has held her own. What are you... I'm getting way too emotional.
No, Beans, I'm obsessed with this. Carry on, please.
But like, what are you truly upset about? Because in hindsight, she's fine. She's made a career for herself. She's done all of this. What actually is the fucking problem here? It's you.
Yeah, Eloise is fine. Marina is fine.
Yeah.
Colin basically becomes increasingly emotional, and he suggests that Penelope doesn't respect him, especially in light of what she wrote about him at the beginning of the season. Just as he did in episode 1, Colin uses Eloise and Marina as a cover for what is really cutting him about finding out Penelope's secret, his own insecurities. And this is tied not just to his writing, but hers as well. He has been unable to shake away the words she wrote that he hardly knows himself.
Yeah.
For a character so deeply caught up in his own insecurities and sense of self, it has hurt him deeply to know that the one person he felt safest with is the person who not only saw those insecurities, but shared them in ink with the rest of the ton.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, so you think it's about Marina and Louise. We've got past that. Okay, now you're bringing up that it's about this other thing. And it's like cutting down to the real issue. So it's like, okay, now we're dealing with what were you thinking when you were writing those words?
Right.
What was she thinking, Veg?
I was thinking I simply wanted the Colin I know back. Not this stoic man you returned as, acting as if you care for no one and need nothing.
In the original script, Pen also explained that she was trying to call Colin back, in other words, to himself and the man she knew him to be, by writing about him in Lady Whistledown. I think this was cut because Pen writing the issue seemed like she was lashing out at him, kind of like Colin does to Pen in the entrapment scene, actually. It seemed like it was coming more from a place of anger and hurt than an attempt to reconnect at that point that she was writing it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So when he was like, why did you write that about me? She would have been like, because I was trying to get you back to me because you felt so distant from the person that I knew when you walked about like this swaggery pirate nonsense who was being so callous.
Nonsense. Whoa.
I liked the nonsense. I liked the look of the nonsense. I'm not going to sit here and deny it, babe.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because if you think about it, this conversation right here is another attempt at her calling him back in a different way. Because Pen continues, it's you, kind and feeling, occasionally excitable, good-hearted man who I love. I should have told you myself. There are so many things I should have done myself. And now with the confidence you helped me find this year, I am finally able to. So obviously she's drawing on those qualities that we've seen her appreciate earlier in the season. So his ideas about the kindness, the sensitivity, how he is excited, but how he is at heart a good person, no matter what Veg would say. But I think what she's frustrated with at this point is that she's like, I wrote that because you were being a dickhead earlier in the season and I couldn't recognize you. And in this conversation, she's like, and I don't recognize you now either, in like a totally different scenario. But it's like, fair enough, your like piratey armor from part 1 has gone. But no, you've just put on a completely different set of armor, which is this cold indifference, this distance that he's had this whole episode. And I think if the Whistledown issue was an attempt at Pen calling part 1 Colin back to her, then this scene is Pen's attempt at calling part 2 Colin back to her. And so instead of trying to win every argument, she's like, I love you and you've been a dickhead and we just need to get past this and break this and have this argument in the middle of the street. And you kind of see his resolve breaking a little when she's like listing his qualities that she admires.
Yeah.
And she almost breaks through to him until he says, then you do not need Whistledown anymore. Is that so, Lecky?
Not quite. Penelope agrees that she does not need to hide behind Whistledown anymore, but she says, but I'm not saying that there is not any value in it. We saw last episode that Penelope had tried to convince herself to give up Lady Whistledown entirely, but writing again in this episode has reminded her that she cannot cut herself off from her work permanently.
Yeah, that struggle that she had in 306 where she was like, do I just give up my dreams and just support his and just be a wife? She's given up on that. She's committed to still keeping the Whistledown and her love and resolving that. There's like a fight back in her that we didn't see last episode because she was so resigned. And you can see that fire that she's also trying to incite within him as well, like in this argument. She's not arguing for the sake of arguing. She's arguing to get him back almost. And she points out that, you know, she has confidence. It's confidence that he helped stoke within her. But the resolution to this confidence isn't just finding a husband as it was originally intended to be in part 1. It's about being her true self.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's at this point that Colin finally admits what's really been bothering him. Is it Marina? No. Is it Eloise? No. Is it even really, if we're truthful, the fact that she made a joke about his piratey self in episode 1?
No.
Maybe not. Because what's really been bothering you? But Colin, come on in, babe. It's your time to shine. He says, do you know what is most humiliating? I let you talk so much about my journal as if I were to be this great writer, when all this time you have been a published writer renowned across Mayfair. Pen says, Colin, I meant everything I said about your writing, but he ain't feeling it, is he?
Okay, so the script gives us some insight into Colin's mind in the scene. Right after Penelope says, I meant everything I said about your writing, it says Colin doesn't want to go there, so he swerves. And that's why he redirects and is like challenging her about putting herself in danger.
Cut too close.
Because this is the thing he's really insecure about.
This is the real issue.
Yes.
Like we're digging. Yeah, maybe he is a bit pissed off about something she did 3 years ago, whatever. But if we're getting down to it, what is it?
And I think you can see this in his emotion in the scene because this is where Colin starts to get really teary-eyed as he mentions his writing because this is the thing that is really bothering him.
Yeah.
As always, also shout out to Luke, who is so good at letting Colin have these moments of emotional vulnerability instead of just having him react out of pure anger. It gives so much more depth to his character, showing us that inner sensitivity that we and Penelope love so much. But I also think part of it is that she's tapping into the real thing that's bothering him.
And she says it so like, honestly, it's almost dismissive in the way she says it. She's like, of course I meant what I said. Like, it's not even a question that I meant what I said, but it cuts so close. He's like, I don't even want to talk about that. I don't even want to go there.
And this is where I'm like, they're fighting about two different things.
Yeah.
Pen is fighting about this perception she has of Colin, which is one where she has rose-colored glasses on, which is why I said earlier, I think some of this argument also plays into her insecurities in the way that she addresses him, because she wants to hold on to this version of Colin that's perfect to her. This version that's like, you used to be so good, you used to do all these things, that's what I'm missing. And it's not giving him a chance to be imperfect, to be jealous, to be these things. And so she has him still on this pedestal rather than opening her eyes, removing the glasses, and being like, wow, you're a person. You have these feelings.
Yeah.
And she knows this, but she still sees it's my perfect Colin rather than this is my partner. And so I feel like her insecurities arrive from, what if I lose this person I love? What if all this other shit happens? And she thinks it's on her. Colin's insecurity is solely based on himself being jealous of her.
And also his pride.
And also his pride. So it's an uneven argument because she's fighting out of love. He's fighting out of personal jealousy.
Yeah. And speaking on his pride, in the script, that's not in there.
Oh.
So they added the lines, as if I were to be this great writer. So I wonder if it's because Colin was proud of his writing and thought that he was this great writer.
Right.
So that kind of adds this layer to the scene where they're talking about how he thought himself talented. And now he's questioning that too.
Yeah.
Like he believed Penelope.
Yeah.
Or he was maybe starting to hope that he was.
Yeah.
Because he believed in her so much.
And that's the thing is like, I know that we've talked about Colin maybe questioning Pen's love for him, but I don't think he actually feels that because I think the meat of the issue is that he is insecure with his own writing.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually think that Pen doesn't love him. He just feels inferior towards her, whereas she's questioning his love for her in a different way.
Yeah.
Because the core of his issue is, am I good enough as a person? As in, like, am I enough?
Yes.
In any respect, as a husband, as a writer, as a brother, am I enough as I am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, of course, because it's so obvious to her that he is.
Right.
This, like, massive issue that he has, that's the core of everything, she just doesn't really recognize it. She's like, of course I meant you're a great writer. That's not even worth discussing. But he's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a breakdown if we don't discuss this.
Right. But that dismissiveness is what like further hurts him because she's like,
Yes.
that's not even an issue to me. You're a great writer, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, it's an issue to me.
That's the issue, Penelope.
Yeah. And whereas she is like, the issue for me is, do you love me?
Yeah.
What is going on here? And so it's like they both are not fighting the same fight.
Right.
They're fighting two different fights based off of their own insecurities.
Massively. And of course, this is straight out of book Colin's jealousy. It's something that he really struggles to admit in the book and the show. And in the show, it's right until the very end of the season when he's like, I admit I was jealous of you.
Yeah.
It's like a really raw thing for him to say. And as you were saying, Beans, it ties directly into his insecurity. It's literally his biggest fear because Pen insists that, you know, she meant everything that she said, but Colin just can't accept it. And so like you say, Lecky, he immediately changes the topic. He's like, and you know what else? You're in danger. And he's like, you can see him being like, I don't want to go there. That's too raw for me.
Right.
And it completely cuts it. And he's like, you're in danger. You're out here tonight. You've been living this double life all along.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that as soon as Penelope steps a little too closely into his insecurity by commenting on his writing, Colin then chooses to step onto the curb, reestablishing the height difference between them.
Yeah, it's like she's got a little bit too close, so he combats it by being like, I'm going to try and take control of the argument and the direction of the argument, because the direction you've got is too close.
Yeah. He's trying to overshadow her.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm going to stand here and be like, well, you're in trouble. But Pen completely stands her ground. She's like, I've been careful. He's like, you've been foolish. She says, Colin, I can take care of myself. And that again hits into the key issue.
Yeah.
All these layers. So it's like his writing. And it's like, well, what is it beneath the writing? Because it's not just about the pen and the paper and the words. It's like, what is it about the writing that's so important to you? And it's his sense of purpose and his place. Because he says here, then what good am I to you? If I can't look after you in all these ways, what's the point of me?
Yeah. I also feel like this has commentary on masculinity and misogyny. Men
Sorry.
men are taught so much that they need to be providers, caretakers, whatever, and that people get into marriages for resources, which is very true. We still do that to this day. Like, oftentimes you get married to someone because they provide a resource for you.
Marriage is an economic proposition, as Florence Pugh would say.
Yes. So he's like, what can I do for you? And Pen very much is like, you don't need to do anything for me. I need to provide for myself. But just because I can take care of myself and I don't need you per se, doesn't mean I don't want you.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be a partner with you.
Yeah.
And Colin is falling into this trap of toxic masculinity and misogyny.
It's almost like part one, but reflected in a different way in part two, where he was trying to be that type of man.
Exactly. Exactly.
in like a genuine husband role.
Yeah, so he was trying to be that type of carefree, rakish bachelor when he first returned to the town.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he's like, well, what kind of husband, what kind of man am I now that I'm married and the marriage doesn't quite look like other marriages I see in the town? What role am I to play?
Yeah, and it also goes to show he still cares about what people think, because he's like, what would people say if I'm just letting my wife run around? What would that say about me as a man? You know, that I just let my wife be doing all these things, having a business, whatever, when that's supposed to be my role. It makes me look less masculine, less like I'm in control of the house. And in turn, you then sort of like get side-eyed or made fun of by other men, because men care more about other men's opinions than they do their spouses.
It's like, I have to perform the role of husband, and a husband in this society is supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
Physically, economically is a big issue.
Yeah.
In 308, when she's like, I can pay for that myself, it's like, fuck's sake, I literally can't do anything for you. You already have it covered.
Yeah.
His character has like a pathological need to be needed. And I think that stems, you could go to like his childhood and like his place in their family and everything like that. He thinks he has to have a purpose to have value.
And that's the other thing about toxic masculinity, is men see their worth and how they can be providers. And it's only by monetary or like physical needs rather than emotional.
Yes.
So like men have a much harder time just being an emotional partner and like caring for their spouse, because they have this idea that I'm supposed to provide in all of these other ways. And women are honestly like, yes, but I can take care of myself. I want you to be with me because you love me and you are in touch with your feelings, and we can have conversations. Like, we can be a team together. We can figure out things together. You're missing the part where what I need from you is emotion.
Yes. And that's why he excels as a character as well. That's the irony, isn't it? It's like, you excel in that. And that is, of course, the resolution they have next episode, where she's like, I don't need you to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
I just need you to love me. And that is enough as you are.
Yeah.
And I have issues for how this storyline is resolved. Ultimately in 308, we'll get to it, but I don't like his solution that like, if I only exist in your light, then that's enough. I don't like that extreme that we go to.
I don't like that either. Yeah.
And this is the crescendo that you reach. I can take care of myself. It's like, then what good am I? And she exclaims, Colin, I love you. I love you. And that's what bursts out.
And I feel like it reaches him in this moment, and he reacts to it by letting himself kiss her and have this moment where they're acting on their feelings for each other.
Break that physical distance they've had.
Yeah.
But I don't think he really absorbs it until next episode when she repeats it to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of that being said, Bean's beautiful points made throughout that entire scene.
Big time.
But I'm going to have to direct you, because the crescendo has been reached. We're going to have her up against a wall. Is it New Girl that this was based on?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because Jess is walking away from Nick, and he kind of like spins her around back to him into a kiss, and which is kind of like what we have here.
Hot.
Oh, it is a great kiss, to be fair. I remember we saw it in the clip and we knew it was the Medusa, and we're like, oh,
Yeah.
chef's kiss. I think they did the tension, like the build up to it really well. Like, you felt the payoff of that moment, that explosion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes you're like, oh, well, answering an argument with like passion sometimes really doesn't resolve anything. It just like delays it.
Sometimes you just gotta fuck it out.
And they tried, babe. They tried. Lecky, what happens next, babe?
Basically, he presses her against a doorway. More kissing happens. Hands disappear up skirts. Perhaps some fingering is involved.
Perhaps. The subtitles read sighing and panting, horse neighing. Lecky, what does it say in the script? Give us a scene description.
So Penelope says, I love you, Colin. I love you. With that, Colin's expression melts. Suddenly, all that exists is the heat between the two of them, and before long, they both simultaneously lunge toward the other. Their mouths meet, devouring one another. It's intense, hungry, full of need. Colin presses Penelope up against the wall of the alleyway, and then it says in a parenthetical, they're shielded here between the wall on one side and the carriage on the other, so they were supposed to be pressed up against a carriage. Symbolism. We love a carriage moment. Anyway, his hands reach up under her skirt, the both of them grasping for ecstasy. But before they can get too far, the sound of hooves clomping nearby. Colin jumps into action, leaning over Pen to cover her.
So it's actually a horse neighing in the final cut. What would you prefer? Horse neighing, clackety clop? Answer in the Spotify poll that we'll put up. We know the horse symbolism for the two of them. It's the perfect crescendo. What I will say, does this man have literally one trick up his sleeve? Do we know how to do anything else? Or does he just know he's really, really good at it? Thoughts, please.
He's just really good at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, I'm confident in this move. It's worked before. It's worked many times before on her, in fact.
Yes.
I think he's like a thumb and a 2-finger type of guy, just, DJing it while he...
No, I reckon he's the middle 3.
He's just going in with fingers, is he?
Oh, no, we know actually from how he...
2 in the pink, 1 in the stink.
No, we know from how he picked up her dress. How did he do it? That was the fingers.
Right, but can I just ask, who is enjoying that? Like, I'm sorry, that's not how you please a woman, and I should know. This can be part of it.
Yeah.
Sorry to get crude. The fingers can be part of it, but you've got to hit the clit as well. Come on.
Well, we don't actually see under the dress, so we don't know.
Do we not, Lecky?
I'm saying he's got to do a come hither motion with a little bit of a rub-a-dub-dub.
Yeah, but also she's completely...
Storytelling.
She's completely, like, unwarmed up at this point.
Yeah.
And he's going straight in with finger fucking?
Well,
You don't know, because that argument was intense, babe.
unless she's getting wet from arguing.
I think so. I think so.
Which maybe, but again, still, that's just not the move. Clit, please, Colin.
Yeah, he has to.
Well, we don't see the move, so just imagine the move
Our
that you
poor
think
listeners.
is
Yeah.
appropriate.
I think he maybe just went to Beantown for a little bit.
But don't we all love to?
Well, I hope he's going there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I hope he does pay a visit.
That was my Wi-Fi name for a while.
Lecky out of context, that's terrible.
It's from the 10th Kingdom. There's literally a town called Beantown. Sorry.
Oh, really?
In fact, my Wi-Fi name is still Beantown, actually.
Oh,
No one
no.
steal Lecky's wife.
I will take a picture of my Wi-Fi real quick.
If he's trying to get up there with 2 fingers, there would have to be some spit involved, and that ain't exactly Bridgerton, like just a coctua pachua.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you're not just fingering someone, like,
No.
apropos of nothing.
Yeah.
No, I think she was already there. I think she was there. I have full faith. I think it's hilarious how he just goes for it, though. There's just
Yeah.
no in between.
Like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, he's pretty green.
I think he's confident in the move, and it seems to work until they're interrupted, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Sure.
She bloody loves it.
I'm going to presume that he just did a little bit of a DJ set on her little espresso bean. Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to Beantown.
Also, apparently he smells good
Aw.
because the scene description continues after he says, "Stay still." It says she obliges, staying very still. She's tucked under his towering frame. There's heat even in the midst of the danger as she's pressed up against his chest and soaks in the smell of him.
Wet leather.
You remember in 302 when she goes and like is stroking his coat?
She's dying to sniff the coat.
She wishes she'd taken the sniff, and here she goes.
Yeah, live your dream, babe. You've worked for it.
Anyway, once the carriage has passed, Colin pulls back, a look of deep longing between them before Colin opens Pen's carriage door and she steps inside. So as a reminder, they were supposed to be pressed up against a carriage, giving the footman another show, I guess. So they wouldn't really have had to move all that much to get her into the carriage.
He just keeps it in there the whole time while they're walking back.
Once again, not sure if he wipes on a tissue. Don't know.
She's skewered.
They walk hand in hand back to the carriage, so at least they're united. It did the job.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't get all the way there. And Colin pops her inside the carriage, assures her he will see her tomorrow.
The scene description continues by saying Pen nods, a final look between the two of them as they each wonder what the other is feeling, before Colin shuts the door and the carriage takes off Pen inside the carriage feeling a sliver of hope.
A sliver. A very, very, very thin sliver.
I know. I feel like the way it's directed, I get more hope from this scene than was put on the page, perhaps.
There's like almost a breakthrough. I kind of wish this had been the main argument. I wish the wedding argument hadn't happened or had been different, and this had been the main argument. Longer argument, maybe going into more of the ups and downs, the ins and the outs.
Yeah.
And that this had been a breakthrough before the blackmail plot comes in and threatens it.
I agree.
Because what you have then is that they then fall out again after the wedding, and then he's like, I'm not going to touch you ever again. And it's like, well, it solved a lot of things the night before, babe.
Yeah.
And it's like a regression. It's like, oh, but we've already been here.
Yes.
We've already been cold and distant.
Yeah, that's what's frustrating for me is that this feels like a moment of resolution that's like finalized with the wedding dance.
Yeah.
And then we regress, like you said.
Immediately.
But I actually really like this scene for that reason.
I do. My issue with this scene is I think that final bit up against the wall is too short. I mean,
Well,
you know.
all right. You wanted to see the actual fingers just to figure out what the trick was.
Glistening in the moonlight.
I just want what's best for her.
Right.
But do you know what I mean? Like, it's literally seconds and it's like,
Yeah.
can we just enjoy the moment, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, poor Penelope, constantly getting interrupted when he's up her skirt.
Constant in the verge.
Yeah.
Constantly getting interrupted right in the middle of like just getting warmed up. Ain't nobody coming that fast.
But then you also think like, what was the ultimate plan there had they not been interrupted?
He had probably went down on her and then,
Don't know, they were just horny.
AO3, let us know.
Do you think Jen's looking outside the window like, what the fuck are you doing?
she gets like bent over some crates.
Well, thank God they didn't do it up against a carriage because they've already seen a lot, those footmen.
Yeah.
Or heard a lot.
The footmen do not get paid enough.
And if they did it up against the door, she'd have a splinter in her ass.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, at this point, does he have money left to pay the footmen? That's why they didn't film this against the carriage.
Darling, you need to marry into wealth.
Yeah.
At this point. It's a financial proposition for you, babe. So, Lecky, any other thoughts on the scene?
As I said, I really, really love that the scene gives us some form of resolution.
Yeah.
Polin are now talking things out, and Colin can actually look Pen in the eye, which is great.
Thank God for the step.
And as a Polin fan who has spent ages defending Pen as Lady Whistledown, it is a tiny bit frustrating, as we said, that Pen doesn't get a chance to explain further how some of her misguided decisions were made in an attempt to help others, like with the Eloise situation in season 2. But ultimately, I really do like that she takes accountability here. The scene description says that Pen takes a moment accepting Colin's rightful anger. And again, I think we get some really interesting parallels to season 1 here, specifically the fallout of Colin and Marina's engagement. But when Colin was finally able to speak to Marina in season 1, she not only revealed that she never loved him, but she also didn't really take any accountability for her actions and made no attempt to apologize. Whereas Pen does admit that she was wrong and does reveal that she loves Colin. And I think that makes all the difference here. Because when Pen does confess her love, the script tells us that with that, Colin's expression melts. That's all he really wanted to hear.
I love that, Lecky.
But,
I found an AO3 fic.
oh, okay.
Veg on AO3? Oh my God.
Well, I just did a quick Google to see if anyone had written a fic of what would have happened if they hadn't got interrupted. From a really quick skim read, just shagging, but also eventually a reconciliation.
Oh, good.
To summarise.
So they do standing sex,
That's hard.
With a height difference.
and he just gets undressed, okay. Puts down a blanket, okay.
From where?
Where's the blanket from?
On the stairs?
Hang on, where's the blanket? I'm obsessed.
Where is it going? Oh, I'm sorry, they're back home by now. Oh, a hack shed.
A hack shed? What the fuck is that?
What's a hack shed?
Presumably where the cabs, a hack is like a cab, right? Where they rest overnight.
Oh.
That is very Titanic, isn't it?
It is.
I remember at the time I was like, this is Carriage Part 2. It was not Carriage Part 2. Should have been Carriage Part 2.
It seems like they have to constantly interrupt Polin because they're the type of people where if they keep talking or if they keep making out,
Exhibition.
they'll eventually reconcile.
Yeah.
So they have to constantly interrupt them so that they can't like resolve their problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like about the wedding and like the way that we leave them is like, not everything is resolved. And they both kind of know that it isn't like a perfect resolution, but they're like, have the resolution that like, we're still in it together. Even though we're still in this difficult patch, we're still here together. And they have that agreement where it's like, thank God they had that. Otherwise, what they've done, turned up the next day and Pen been like, he won't even look at me still.
Right.
So it is a breakthrough that they needed for the next day. Our listeners had a lot to say about the Medea scene. Obviously, it is a big favourite amongst many, many people. Something Different bloomed, said, what is it with this show and horses interrupting at inopportune moments? I would say if you laugh at someone's dead horse, you deserve everything that comes your way, or doesn't come your way, I suppose you could technically say.
Yes.
Nice.
Moon Pie said, it's a pitch perfect argument. I'm not a super fan of alleyway groping. Moon Pie, but the what good am I to you? Love it. She said that in her opinion, it's the best written, acted, directed scene of the entire season. It's so rich, so essential for their growth. I think you really feel that as well. Oh, and then Avila asked, do you think this sequence would have played more clearly if Colin had been more obviously drunk? Not to the point of something around, but he comes off a little too clear-headed to me. The reduction of his inhibitions led to them getting hot and heavy. That's a good point, actually, which indicates is what he actually wants with her. But without that effect, he's too stuck to take action. If he wasn't still undecided on what their marriage should be, then I don't think the Queen's interruption would have pushed him into sad boy soda life. That's a good point, actually. That
Sofa life.
What?
Sofa life.
Oh, I put soda life.
That's all right. Sofa life. He's throwing back Diet Coke. Yeah.
I was We all have our, vices. Sad boy, sofa life. That is actually a really good point though, because I earlier was like, why does he go with it here and then regress to being like distant and I'm not going to touch you? And it is the fact that he's been drinking, isn't it, actually? His inhibitions are lowered, so he doesn't quite have the stoicism to be like, I'm going to sleep on the sofa tonight. He's like, that wall looks like the perfect place for my fingers to go on a little wander.
But I also wonder, like, how would you portray that other than him?
A bit more like stumbling, I guess.
No, than letting Penelope kind of slip past his facade a little bit and communicate with him on a deeper level. Because if we see him like stumbling, it would be a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think he needed to have that strong walk, that swoop.
To be fair, our Patreon member says not stumbling around.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Avila.
Also, we don't know how long he was walking.
I think the issue might lie in the cut scene because he was kind of drunk at White's. But because there was a massive scene that was cut out, like he kind of sobered up in that conversation almost. He like snapped out of it. So by the time he goes into the street, he's kind of fully sobered up. Where like had the filming just gone straight from that end of the scene with Ben to here, he might have been played as still a bit more residually drunk than he was.
Yeah. The scene description says that the sight of each other sobers them both.
That's a good point. To be fair, we've all done that thing where you've like gone into the bathroom, like you've been so drunk and then you go into the bathroom and you look at yourself and you're like, girl.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Girl. What are we doing here?
And also, like, we don't know how long he was walking. He could have been walking up and down the street for a while, and it sobered him up.
Drunkenly stumbling around.
Yeah.
He got lost a couple times.
Just looking at the night sky.
He was looking for a brothel, but he got lost.
Oh my God, don't make jokes like that, Lecky. The rumour when that happened.
I don't mean it.
What a difficult few weeks. So, Vila, thank you. I completely forgot that he is technically drunk and that's why his inhibition's lowered. And that's why he breaks through. That's a good point.
I mean, after that kind of argument, I feel like both people would have been sobered up, you know?
Yeah. But overall, Medicine, many fans. You've had our thoughts. We found out that Lecky's Wi-Fi is Beantown.
It's a reference to the 10th Kingdom. Highly recommended. Go watch.
The moment you chose to admit that was just...
Well, I mean, anyway.
Well, we can assume that Pen is going to make it safely home. I guess. Good luck, Pen. We'll see you tomorrow. But I'd rather make sure personally that Colin does make it back home.
Worry not. We quickly cut to a darkened Bridgerton house entranceway where we find Colin shrugging out of his coat and heading to bed. But how is he looking, Veg?
As Colin strips out of his coat, we get a closer look at his shirt and waistcoat. This is another Colin waistcoat that we only see once. Thanks again, Book Movie TV Worm on Reddit, for doing the audit. It's got a sort of rope pattern made up of tiny hexagons. And quite frankly, I would love to use those ropes to tie Colin up in a dark brothel basement at this point in the episode.
Penelope might be into that, actually.
That being said, he has paired this brown waistcoat with a gorgeous dark blue shirt, which is quite reminiscent of his 301 pirate look. So that's a plus. Good job, Colin.
On his way to bed, Colin overhears a couple of his family members chatting together, which is unusual for the late hour.
Who could it be?
And he makes his way to the Viscount's study, opening the door to find Anthony and Kate waiting up for him.
This is a planned intervention, Colin. For some completely inexplicable reason we've never been able to fully deduce, Colin is stunned, bewildered, agog to find his brother and sister-in-law at home, in their own residence, in the house in which they live and manage and have dedicated their lives to. Why he's so shocked to see them, I still don't understand to this day. Maybe it's just because it's super late.
Maybe he's psychic.
Was the opposite of psychic. He was like,
No.
you weren't supposed to be here.
No. Let me make my point. Maybe he just had a subconscious feeling that they were about to go on their third honeymoon.
He knew.
And he was surprised that they hadn't already left.
This is what I thought. I think maybe there was some confusion as to when this was happening because it feels like they've just got back unexpectedly. And he's like, oh my God, I didn't expect you to get here this early. Forgetting that they actually returned
Earlier.
ages ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, who knows? In the meantime, they could have gone on 4 more honeymoons. And I hope they enjoyed them thoroughly. But regardless of the missing context, he happily rushes towards them and embraces Kate and the chopped liver. It turns out that Violet has called in reinforcements to ambush Colin about the state of the Polin union. Do you think this is the plan that Violet came up with Portia in that cut moment from the planned entrapment? Didn't they have a moment you mentioned earlier where they were sort of scheming to get them back together?
Yes, this was the plan that she had in mind. So send in Cantony.
Send in the Cantony.
Solves all problems.
And why exactly have we called the big guns in, like?
Because Violet thought that Colin would want some marital advice, and who better than the previous leads of season 2?
Such a successful journey to marriage.
The three sit around the table and Anthony impatiently asks, what is going on with you and Penelope? Colin shrugs it off by saying, all is well between us, but Kate points out that he smells of fermented fruit and is a walking cry for help.
always trips me up when Anthony refers to her as Penelope. I'm like, I didn't even know that you knew who she was.
Now she signifies.
It's very much signifying. It's late.
Yeah.
He wants to be in bed. It's signifying. Colin initially avoids their questioning, not wishing to bring up his relationship woes in front of such a seemingly happy couple. But Kate pries further, pointing out that although Cantony are happy now, it took them a good while to get there, and don't we bloody know it? We were there the whole time. We had to rewatch it.
Yep.
We suffered through with you. Eventually, Colin confesses that he feels as though he no longer knows Penelope. Anthony is begging to hear the gossip. Again, we get you, Anthony, we're right there. But Kate is far more tactful in her line of interrogation. She explains that everyone has secrets and everyone has made mistakes. Everyone has those days. But there has to be a reason Penelope has been so dear to Colin for so long. I like that Kate enters the family, immediately gets it. She's like, for years, evidently, and they're all just catching up behind her. I honestly think scenes like this is why she has to go on honeymoon so often, because she's so useful and insightful that you would cut this series in half if she was around.
Oh, I thought you meant she just needed a break from the Bridgerton, so she's going to often be going on honeymoon here and there.
Oh, that too, of course.
But Kate challenges him by asking if the new information he has learned really negates the relationship they've had.
It's a little bit.
To which he shakes his head in concession. Kate then reminds him that marriage takes work and we cannot be defined by our mistakes, which seems to resonate with Colin. Kate heads for bed, with Anthony following closely behind once he has imparted his final piece of wisdom onto his baby brother, 3 raw eggs in the morning.
And for Pen's sake, I sincerely hope he brushed his teeth after the eggs. That is gross.
Very much needed.
Also, how cute is like the little, when Kate grabs his chin.
Oh yeah.
Adorable. What do you think of the scene then? Very sweet.
Very sweet. I like that it was Cantony.
Yes.
I do still wish that Daphne had made an appearance because I feel like she would have offered some great advice, just like she does in the book.
Well, do you feel that this is that missing puzzle piece?
This is 100% filling that void.
It's very much at a different part of their story, and it's kind of touching on a different issue entirely. But, you know, we had the Violet moment in episode 4, and we needed that sibling moment that we wanted. And we'd often talked about the role Anthony would play. And this feels like a much lighter version of that 107 scene, doesn't it, with Anthony in his study, where they were drinking together and both sort of morose.
Yeah. It reminds me so much of the book scene, except for questioning his love for Penelope. He's questioning whether they're meant to be together now that he knows about Lady Whistledown.
Who even is this bitch?
Right. So it very much feels like the book scene to me, but just with the Lady Whistledown issue inserted into the equation. And Cantony, of course.
Do you think it worked with them too? Because it is kind of traditional for them to have like a crossover, like a handing of the baton kind of moment, where the previous leads offer a bit of advice.
Yeah, we were expecting Anthony to offer advice to Colin and
Anthony offered squat. He gave house legs in the morning. It was all his wife.
Okay, let me finish. I think we were all expecting Anthony to offer some advice in some capacity going into this season, but how lovely that it was Kate. And honestly, like, we really needed her perspective.
Yeah, it's a really moving scene. Do you think that this is the final puzzle piece for him in terms of getting down the aisle the next morning and having that change of mind for him? Like, he kind of was already there after the Medea scene.
Yeah.
But this like quiet moment where someone sees that he's struggling, kind of validates it, but then still nudges him and says, you still can do this.
Yes, because this is following on the heels of Penelope saying, but I love you, Colin, and realizing that, you know, that love matters so much to him. And to have Kate reinforce that by saying, does anything you've learned actually negate that love? And he realizes, no, it really doesn't.
Yeah, because he loves her so.
Yeah.
Well, a great little moment from Cantony. Maybe we'll get something similar for Polin in season 4.
I would absolutely love to see Colin offering Benedict some advice.
Just want the fencing scene. I just want the fencing scene, Lecky. That's all I'm asking for.
As funny as it would be to have Penelope weigh in and be like, hey, I'm pretty sure your maid is the woman I've been writing about. I really want like a Colin and Benedict moment.
Or if they have an inversion of that scene in episode 8 where Colin's like, this does not concern you. She's like, I'm pretty sure that she's exactly the same one who just talks over it constantly. And she's like, fine, you do you, babe. Well, Colin, babe, I wish you a very good night's sleep. We hope we'll see you in the morning. I mean, still not looking 100%, but we'll see you hopefully somewhere down the aisle.
I'm getting married in the morning. Ding dong, the bells are going to chime.
In the morning, we find Lady Danbury giggling at whatever letter she's just received, but her laughter evaporates when she learns Marcus has slipped past her footman. Marcus opens up to his sister about his perspective on the night she nearly escaped their father as a child. We learn he was only 10 years old. In the script, by the way, it mentions he was 14.
Oh, aged him down.
They aged him down, which also makes sense because he's more childlike, so he had less understanding of what he was doing.
And it's like, you know, how much can you blame a 10-year-old for the situation they were brought up in?
So he really had no understanding understanding of his actions, and he wanted to prove himself to Agatha to be as courageous as she had always been, and to have had the strength to stand up to their father. Lady Danbury reflects upon the fearsome creature she has created herself, though Marcus assures her that she is nothing like their father. Anyway, Marcus and Lady Danbury finally bury the hatchet, and Lady Danbury teaches us all that no one should come for her cane. In the original script, Lady Danbury responded to Marcus's confession also by offering one of her own, opening up about the horrible life that she shared with her late husband, and how she promised herself after his death that she would make choices and alliances so she would never have to live like that again. I think this was kept because it wasn't super relevant, and it was information we'd already learned in Queen Charlotte that didn't really have any bearing on whether or not she was going to forgive Marcus for the misunderstanding between them.
Yeah, it's also kind of like dark to bring up in like a reconciled relationship, like this reminder of like what she endured.
Yeah.
Bleak.
But we must move on. As Lady Danbury says, we have a wedding to attend. However, initially she invited him to stay for supper because they shifted around some scenes, as I said. But now we're off to the wedding.
Wedding next. Let's first check in on our bride-to-be. Hopefully those feet are feeling toasty warm, Pen. And we find Varley and Ray helping Penelope in her bedroom as she gets ready, placing the final touches of her outfit. She's got her beloved fingerless gloves and her jewellery set down next to her. Portia is watching on proudly as Philippa peruses the books on the fireplace, and Prue scowls at the sight of her mother tending to her sister. The clock on the mantelpiece tells us it's 9:35 a.m. if you're interested. But Veg, how is our blushing bride looking? Bride-to-be, we're definitely not down the aisle just yet.
Oh, yeah. You're a bride before you're married, but anyway, while we have it in close-up, let's look at Pen's makeup look for the wedding. This look is dramatic, but truly emulates the blushing bride. Erica Ockfist had a clear vision for this look and asked for Jessie and Frida's help in creating glowing, timeless, classic makeup and hair. Frida aimed to make the hair sleek but still look special. I think Ovs managed to capture the blurriest of blurry Pens coming out of the chapel. We saw the little curl on top and we were a bit worried that it would be the full-on poodle look. But it turns out it was just a little sort of fringe thing and it was very lovely. But yeah, do you remember that moment, Ovs?
We'll be walking down memory lane very shortly, babe.
I can't wait.
Our first meeting.
Yeah. Oh. So Farida actually used a lot of inspirations, such as Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion, great movie, Post-its, and Kylie Minogue. And she added Pen's perfect season 3 Kiss Girls. Lovely. The makeup was designed in the soft pink colour palette to match, mostly, and that was to match the, spoiler alert, blush coloured wedding dress. Jessie added some lashes, subtle eyeliner, glass skin effect, foundation, and a cream blush paired with pink lips. I've heard people say that the blush was too garish, too deep, too bright, and I do get that. It definitely stands out, but it was done on purpose. It was to make her literally like a blushing bride. It was a creative decision. It's not for everyone, but
it's just designed to stand out.
Yeah. You know, it looks dramatic in the church. She's the bride.
Can a girl not have a blushing cheek on a wedding day?
Right.
She's been through enough.
And she is also sporting in this scene a familiar corset that you might remember from the mirror scene. Too bad Colin doesn't see it this time around because she's absolutely gorgeous.
And too bad that he pulls out of the wedding night, babe, because he won't see it either.
Oh.
I suppose too bad he didn't pull out the first time round, and then he wouldn't be so entrapped, would he, darling?
I knew you were going there. God.
So, smiling, Varley gently asks if Pen is ready for her dress, to which Portia reaches towards her daughter and smiles at her reflection proudly. I really like the way this is shot, like we are the mirror, if that makes sense. Like, we can't see, but Pen is looking at her own reflection, still struggling with this bittersweet feeling of it being her wedding morning. The score also taps into this, like, melancholic happiness as this really pensive music plays. She was probably like, is this man going to be waiting for me at the end of the aisle or not?
The scene description, interestingly, also notes that she is staring into the mirror in the scene. Aww. And it also reveals that Pen offers a hopeful smile when Portia declares that she's going to be the most beautiful bride, another sign that Polin has, or could have, resolved their conflict. Hilariously, the script also reveals exactly what Philippa was doing in the background of this scene. In the show, you can see her inspecting Pen's bookcase and she pulls out a book. The script reveals it was a book on insects, which was foreshadowing for the bug ball, I imagine. I just wish we had gotten to see a close-up of, like, the title if that were the case, but oh well.
Love it.
Over at the palace, we find townspeople lined up to share their suspicions about who Lady Whistledown might be with the Queen. Obbs's favourite Lord Hawley is among them, as well as a debutante, I think it's Miss Hartigan, who seems to have hurt her ankle chasing after a delivery boy, which is a cute nod to the book.
So I assume, like, these are all the people not going to Polin's wedding then, I guess. They've got nothing else to do. Unless they're squeezing it in before the wedding. Well, just like Lecky, our debutante has a dodgy ankle. And this taps into the book. This happened in the book as well, where people were so frenzied by Lady Whistledown's identity that Whistledown wrote about how friends were turning against friends, brothers against sisters, all in the futile attempt to solve an unsolvable secret. Furthermore, the sleuthing of the Ton has grown downright dangerous. This week's injury apparently belongs to Hyacinth Bridgerton. Miss Hyacinth must have suspected someone in attendance because she sustained her injuries while falling into the library after the door was opened, while she had her ear pressed up against the wood, listening at doors, chasing down delivery boys, and these are only the tidbits that have reached this author's ears. What has London society come to? Is that how you hurt your foot, Leck? Were you listening at doors?
Yes.
No, she just stumbled on a little rabbit hole in the park, didn't you, Lecky?
Yes. Stepped in a hole and my ankle went out from under me.
Lord Holly, my man, I love you so much. His theory is that Whistledown is a man, which hilariously, who else thought that? All the way back in 101.
Yeah.
But Colin Bridgerton, I mean, he found out the hard way, didn't he? Nothing more to make on that point. I just enjoy it.
I like that too. And also, if you look closely, one of the Queen's Pomeranians sneezes.
Love this even more.
The dog sneezes on the left of the frame at the beginning of the scene, which I just think is hilarious. But alas, the Queen eventually gets bored of the townspeople and their less than clever suggestions. Also, I think Lord Holly's aforementioned slow delivery. And she begins to inspect the 2 issues of Lady Whistledown that had been published that day in more detail. A surprised smile forms on Her Majesty's face, an idea forming. If emojis existed in the world of Bridgerton, a little light bulb definitely would have popped over the Queen's head. Ba-ding! As she had her epiphany. The script even refers to this as a little light bulb moment.
Hang on, so is she looking at 2 Whistledowns?
Yep.
The scene should have been ages ago.
It's still on her mind.
Wow.
You can explain it away as the Lady Whistledown issue is still on her mind.
As much as I love a good mystery, as much as I love Lord Holly, we have got a wedding to get to. Guys, go get your little corsages, go get your little buttonholes. What colour are you guys wearing for the wedding?
Get a redhead.
Yeah, obviously you're wearing green, obviously.
Someone can go white because Pen's not wearing white though, so anyone can take that now. Veg, you should go in full white.
I'm not a psychopath.
She's wearing pink. It's blush.
Okay, no. What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying the colour's available.
I'm curious because do you remember in the CBS behind the scenes where she was trying on the dress? It was the wedding dress, but it was lilac. And I wonder if they ever seriously considered that color.
Well, basically it was going to be blue. They were going to make it Bridgerton blue, so I'm not sure if it was lilac.
Interesting.
I'm not a fan of Penelope's wedding look.
I know.
As you will hear very soon.
Okay.
I don't hate it. I just think, like, why has she got such a nice style of dress for every other scene? And then, I don't know, not my favourite. But sorry, Pen, to drag on you in your wedding day. Let's go see how you're looking. 3 seasons of sufferance. We've almost made it down the aisle. In a relationship like this one, at a time like this, the word almost is pretty key here. But let's try and set the scene for the most remarkable wedding ceremony of the year, at least, until next season, I'm sure. Beans is currently running late to the wedding, which is probably the most bridal thing she could do. So pen step aside, you've got competition. I'm sure she'll turn up at some point. Lecky, give me some choral music, please. Thank you to whatever choral music was inserted there over that. Well, Lecky, where exactly are we going for the wedding?
We're back at the Chapel of St. Peter at St. Paul in Greenwich, the same location that was used back in 306 for the band's scene. And Obs and Veg have some interesting crumbs from when the scene was filmed.
That's where we first met, babe.
Yeah.
Which we have audio of.
Which we do have audio of. Our first meet. Not many people can say that. It's a special one, babe.
We're from Reddit, by the way, so hello, that's me.
Oh my god, hi, Veg.
Who's just so hot?
Very cute.
Yes, do you remember this, Veg, back in the day?
Of course.
We do have a whole episode on it. So if you want the more in-detailed recollections, you can go to a Crumbs episode. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we'd fallen in love and got married, because what a beautiful addition to the wedding day that voice clip would be.
Yeah. They'd be like, who the fuck is Obs and Veg? Who are these people? But yes, we were both very local to Greenwich at the time. And we got wind that some filming was taking place. And I think we hadn't met at this point. We headed on over. And I think it was me who saw that it was going to be a wedding. Because, I mean, there was a lot of blue and a lot of yellow.
Blue and yellow.
And a lot of flowers.
Arches.
And there was a bride. And there was a groom.
Yeah.
And there was a wedding party. So my powers of deduction were put to the test that day. But I decoded the mystery.
Yeah, it wasn't our hardest Crumbs test.
You know what? People didn't believe us, though, at the time. I was like, I saw with my eyes that there was a wedding. And people were like, I don't think it's a Polin wedding. I feel like it was compelling.
The sheer number of redheads was pretty compelling as well.
That was the bit that really sees it. Because it technically could have been like a Fran wedding, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Because I don't think we'd seen Hannah Dodd in like an outfit. So technically she could have been a bride. But the redheads were pretty solid evidence. It was like Sherlock Holmes, case closed. you can stand down, darling, is the Featherington Bridgerton wedding of the year.
Yeah.
We saw all the extras. We saw the main characters with our eyes. Didn't see Pen in a bridal dress. Did see Colin, Luke Newton, in his outfit.
You saw James Foon.
We saw James Foon. I thought that was Luke Newton. It was not.
Through the crack of a door, just to put into perspective.
Through the crack. That makes it sound like I was peering through the crack of the door.
No, it's just they had the door of the church like mostly closed, but for some reason they didn't close it all the way.
They kept opening it.
So you were able to, see some of the cast as they slipped by.
And then all the extras were just coming, because it's a public space, so people just stood watching what was happening, and the doors would open and like all the extras would pour out.
Yeah.
But there's a whole episode on it if you want more details of what we saw. And our predictions, I think we always knew it was going to be a bit of a testing time at the altar, and alas it was. But Veg, we saw a lot of the set decor being set up, didn't we? What exactly is the theming for the wedding?
Oh.
What have they gone with?
There's a clear theme.
Portia Featherington.
Like me at the Era store, dressed as Snow on the Beach. There's a clear theme.
Oh, what a day that was, by the way. It was the hottest day of the year. She went to the Era store, Snow on the Beach, dressed in a swimming costume and a full winter hat. Didn't you like nearly pass out at one point?
It was warm.
It was a very warm day. It was a beautiful day. And that's the day you met Nicola Coughlan. So you met her dressed as Snow on the Beach.
I did.
Both of you.
Both of us did.
I was dressed normally, though. I was dressed as, yes, I could tell you his favourite colour's green from I'd Lie. I wasn't dressed as Snow on the Beach.
No, well, people online on TikTok were like dressing up, but I saw nobody else dressed up.
You look spectacular, darling. But how is the wedding looking?
Well, before we get to the goods, let's take a moment to appreciate the surroundings and the ensemble. As described, this is the interior of the chapel of St. Peter and St. Paul in Greenwich. The inbuilt beauty of this chapel is clear, but they didn't let the place speak for itself. Instead, they decked the halls.
With boughs of Polin.
They decked the damn halls. And now I have been inside there just walking around, and it's lovely.
It's a lovely chapel.
Great scenery, but
They went to town.
so we can assume that Portia had a heavy hand in this. The money bags of all the money they stole had a lot of hand in it as well.
Put to good use. Supporting local businesses.
Because the arches.
The arches. That's what I saw. And that's what I saw. And I was like, it's a bloody wedding.
Yeah, all that we could see were just arches and arches coming in and out and lying on the ground, being shaken all about, and just arches of flowers. Lots of bouquets within plinths, on plinths, independent bouquets.
It's like a double-decker church and they double-decked it out. It was thorough.
If there could be a flower, there was a flower. Fittingly, the flowers were all yellow and blue.
Oh.
And the arches and pews were draped in a soft Bridgerton blue fabric. I actually saw, walking around that day, or maybe the following morning, some like plastic tubs full of blue and yellow petals. I don't think they made it into the cut.
Oh.
If they were like, there's not enough blue and yellow, they had those on hand to chuck in.
What a performance they would have put in as well. Imagine being a confetti and thinking you're going to be on Netflix and you just left on the floor of Greenwich. There's no dignity to that.
They were not the right shade of yellow, I'll say. They're quite neon.
Maybe it's because her train has like flowers on it, so they kind of focused on that as he was moving down the aisle.
Yeah. And hadn't their flower girls already done petals? It's like, been there, done that. We've got the petals. Tick it off the list.
Yeah.
They were quite abrasively coloured. They wouldn't have looked the best.
Wrong shade.
So the pews were also draped with a soft Bridgerton blue fabric. These colours also pop up throughout the crowd, with the Bridgerton side of the aisle decked out in the classic familial Bridgerton blue, plus an entire gaggle of red-headed Featheringtons in green. It literally looks like an Irish convention.
It really did.
It's a very stereotypical green color.
Yeah. Redheads like sometimes have a meetup because they're afraid of becoming extinct. I say this as a redhead.
Yeah, they do look like that.
And it looked like one of those days. I felt so at home.
When I rewatched it and it cuts to that side of the church, it's like, oh, are we in like a holiday movie all of a sudden? All like the elves have like shown up. It's that shade of green, you know?
Well, someone in particular wanted the redheads there.
So, in fact, it was Nicola Coughlan herself who had particularly wished for the red-headed representation at the wedding. She said, I wanted a bunch of ginger people on the Featherington side, and they made my dream come true. There were so many gingers. I was like, I love this so much. So thank you to the casting team, or potentially the wig team, for making Nicola's wish come true.
What a touch.
Yeah.
The colour palette and, of course, the abundance of redheads definitely screamed a Featherington Bridgerton love match. But there's also quite a lot of symbolism hidden between those petals themselves, right, Veg?
Yes, indeed. In an interview with Cat Quinn, the Bridgerton florist Philip Core spoke about the flowers his team chose for the Polin wedding, both for the set decoration and in Pen's own bouquet. I have to say, a florist named Philip. For Louise fans will definitely approve.
Yeah.
The florist in question here explained that he and his team used the language of flowers to decide which flowers to use. He said they want to marry the two households together, so hence these pale blues and the yellows. We used yellow roses, which obviously roses are predominantly a symbol of love, but particularly yellow roses are a symbol of friendship. We used hyacinths, so blue hyacinth. They're often symbolising seeking forgiveness and sincere care. They're because obviously Pen's looking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
I love that she walks in like, look at my flowers and forgive me. It's like trying to hypnotize him through the flowers.
Also, yeah, just a reminder, we're friends.
Please.
We're friends for a long time.
We've been friends and I'm really, really sorry.
It's a compelling trope, Colin. Friends to lovers.
Compelling trope.
You know he knows the language of flowers as well. He ain't got that many sisters to not know the language of flowers in detail.
Yeah, him and Philip are going to geek out about it.
Sorry, I like the idea of her trying to sell him on the friendship to lovers trope as she's walking down it. Anyway, sorry.
So Philip Cole went on to say, we use the yellow larkspur, and often that represents lightness and fun and a desire to be humorous, which I think Pen is quite humorous.
Certainly in this episode, she's laugh a second.
We used to have fun, Colin.
Do you remember when we used to laugh?
So it's a symbol of an open heart, sincerity, strong love bonds, and dedication. Then the other flower, the main flower we used was Veronica, and that was supposed to represent loyalty, fidelity, and love.
And their future Baron Featherington, Little Lord Featherington.
Oh, little Veronica.
Veronica. Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should all have been calling him.
Yes.
It's a little Veronica.
And inside the chapel, the choir is singing and the Mondriches literally duck into a pew to avoid making eye contact with other townspeople who are eager to catch their eye. A visual representation of just how popular they have become in society, which is all set up for a cut storyline, which we will get to later.
I love them. They're like, oh my God, we're so popular.
We're so popular.
I am exhausted from our popularity.
Yes. I just don't get it because we go from Will in that cutscene saying that he doesn't like to be the spectacle to like soaking in the attention here. But over on the Bridgerton side, Cantony reflect on their perfect wedding, which fans never got to see. But nice to hear that it was perfect, I guess, before our eyes suddenly snap to the man of the hour, soon to be joined by his lady of the hour.
Yay!
Kate's outfit is stunning. I love it. It's so beautiful and intricate.
Yes.
Love her.
Also, we get a little peek at the groomsmen's attire with Anthony, Benedict, Gregory and Dankworth all wearing coordinating navy suits.
Very cute.
What I love about this pre-wedding bit is I love a bit of people watching and they're all just having a little chat with each other, aren't they? It's so cute. Anthony's having a laugh with Ben and Elle. Greg and Hai are sat next to Marcus, which I thought was really, really cute. Vi is like caught between trading tight smiles with the Dankworths and then she like tries to smile at Fran and they have like this awkward little moment together.
Tension, yeah.
And I'm like, that poor woman is like, my son, I'm not sure who's going to get through this wedding. My daughter hates me and about to become related to the Featheringtons.
Yes.
She's having an off day, you know?
Yeah.
And then my favourite part is Mr. Finch admiring the ceiling. And Veg, you've been in that chapel. What a ceiling.
What a ceiling.
That's the title of the episode. There you go.
There's the title for the episode.
Yeah, sorted. It's like blue and yellow. It's really, really beautiful, really intricate.
Yeah.
They clearly like walked in there and were like, that's just Polin on the ceiling. Get the trucks of the yellow and blue flowers, we're good to go. But enough chatting. I believe a groom is in our midst. Hopefully without any cold toes. Veg, how is he looking?
Well, hopefully he's wearing a few pairs of socks. Because as you say, we don't want any cold feet.
Nuh-uh.
Our tall groom, Colin, is laid up in a three-piece suit. Of course he is, it's his wedding day. It's not unlike his usual three-piece wedding look that he wears in other things or even in every day.
He likes a dark navy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But this is obviously fancier. Got the tails.
Oh.
A long-tailed, high-necked jacket.
I thought you were going to say a long-tailed tall man.
Sure, like a lizard.
Colin Bridgerton's not a lizard.
So he's adhering to the classic Bridgerton man wedding dress code style of a cream waistcoat look, similar to the one he wore to Anthony's wedding.
What she's saying is he's a man in a suit.
Yes.
I like the choice of the blue.
I like the blue.
It's nice. They have a good look, and I think it honours their family.
Yeah.
But I will say this is a small paragraph I've written, and there's an entire page that I've written for Pen's looks. Anyway. To complete this short little sonnet, he has a dark navy jacket and trousers, as it's his special day. He couldn't be without his signature ruffled neck, watch fob and cravat with an added boutonniere made up of flowers to match the church and his groomsmen.
And he has got his little groomsmen knocking about. Anthony, Benedict, Gregory, Dankworth and Finch.
Besties.
Love it.
It's so cute. It's like all the brothers across the families. They have their little matching boutonnieres. And the brothers in particular, what I like about their wedding attire is they're like wearing Colin's dark navy, but they each have their own styles. Like Benedict has his little artsy flair. Anthony has like his double-breasted waistcoat that he's always wearing. It reminds me, Lecky, you'll remember this from recent Crumbs. I can't remember the exact quote, but Jonathan Bailey was recently talking about, he let slip about filming a wedding with Bridgerton, didn't he? A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he sort of mentioned that what he liked was they always find a way to characterize it towards a certain brother. They have the same sort of formula with the wedding, but they have the personality of the brother coming through. And so it's going to be interesting to see what like a Benedict wedding is going to look like. But this feels very Polin themed.
It does.
Very cute.
And finally, Colin steps into view and he smiles at his mother before Violet declares, "Here we go."
It's a bit rude, the way she braces herself out loud, like, here we fucking go then.
I think it's more like anticipatory, not like, oh God, here we go. Like we're getting married to the Featheringtons, you know?
Yeah, she's probably just got flashbacks from the last few attempted Bridgerton weddings. Doesn't always go well.
Also some relief that it's happening, you know?
Well, she hasn't made it down the aisle yet.
Well.
Could still go sideways.
Okay.
But I think in fairness to her though, if you think she only knows about the sad rainbow fish scene, so she doesn't know that Colin and Pen work through their issues in the middle of the street, a few fingers up a skirt.
Right.
She doesn't know any of that. So the last she saw, it was dire straits. So yeah, she probably is a bit worried that it is going to go to shit. And it will, to be honest. It's going to go to shit. So you're not wrong there, Vi. We know where Prophet Hyacinth got her powers from, evidently.
Yeah.
Also, before we get to the actual wedding of it all, my heart bursts when I see Eloise smiling at her brother. Like he steps into frame and she's just beaming for him. And our lovely listener, Murpham's mama said, hearing the Bridgersibs chat and seeing them sitting together during the wedding still makes me cry. What do you think the Duchess would have said if she'd attended the wedding? I wish Daphne had been there. I'd have done anything for a little cameo.
I think she would have been like really happy for him.
Well, do you think she would have been tuned in to the fact something was wrong? Do you think she'd have done the same at Anthony and Edwina's wedding?
Depends when she arrived. You know what I mean? If she arrived the morning of the wedding, maybe she wouldn't have known.
Yeah, how much has she seen? Because if she just gets a letter being like, oh, he's marrying Pen, she was probably like, sounds about right. Saw that coming. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But if she'd have picked up that things were askew, then she probably would have had more of like a Violet intuition with the issue. But it would have been so nice to see her there. I mean, what's the excuse for her not turning up? Probably pregnant with another kid.
You know, you can't just cut her out of the show and also not mention her because that's ridiculous.
Just say, I wish Daphne had been here.
Yeah. Tell me the entire family has like come down with cholera. I don't know. Just tell me something.
The road's flooded. Like whatever. Just don't pretend that she doesn't exist.
Right.
Daphne? Who's Daphne?
It's not the bloody question, babe.
Right.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. But don't worry, Violet. They will at least make it down the aisle as the song that Polin fans have been waiting to hear their entire lives begins to filter through the church. An instrumental version of Coldplay's Yellow.
Oh my God. Can you believe we actually got it? After all that?
No.
It's always been like a fan song.
I mean, we campaigned heavily. Yeah.
And to be fair, you know who else campaigned? Luke Newton himself.
Yes.
He was also the one, when the season was announced, to be like, I want yellow because she wears yellow dresses.
For her dresses. Yeah.
And we were like, Luke, your logic is infallible. We stand with you.
Yeah, did he campaign or did he just panic?
There was a group chat at one point, wasn't there, for the playlist?
Sure.
I mean, I think a to-dumb article is as good as a campaign as you can get.
Yeah.
Look at the results.
And also, I feel like the fans were so vocal about it that maybe it tipped him off that this would be a good choice.
Yes, we hadn't been subtle.
Yeah.
We hadn't been subtle.
But we were unsure because we didn't know whether they'd get the rights because Coldplay don't often sell them.
Yeah, Coldplay are kind of notorious for this. They're not really one to let the music be used loads.
And they also read Luke Newton's words and were like, for the dress, oh, okay, yellow for the dresses. All right, yeah, sure.
The dress is yellow. Enough said. Enough said.
Yeah, that resonates with me, the writer of this song, Yellow Dresses.
Well, I was reading an interview earlier with Justin Camps, the music supervisor, and he was talking generally about season 3's music. And he said that really they didn't have many issues with getting the music they wanted. There were a couple of instances. He sort of cited Taylor Swift because she appeared a few times in the season. He cited a few cases where artists wanted to know the context in which songs were going to be played, which obviously is fair enough to know what the backdrop is going to be. So I assume that Chris Martin saw it, read it, loved it, thought, get the girl in a yellow dress again.
Yellow Dresses.
Yeah.
Got it.
And we were delighted. It felt like a dream come true. I think we guessed it for months and then it was officially confirmed and we're like, we know where that song is going in. But it's not actually the song they used during the filming process, is it, like?
No, actually, Nicola walked down the aisle to an orchestral version of True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. I like it. I'm a Cyndi Lauper fan.
Colin was probably like, yeah, I do see your true colours, babe. Yeah, I see you. You there with your little friendship flowers. I see.
Forgiveness flowers, I see you.
She's like, please forgive me, we're friends. We have fun.
But I'm glad in the final edit they had yellow.
It couldn't have been anything else, realistically.
Yeah.
It really couldn't have been. Colin looks pretty ready for marriage, but where oh where is our blushing bride?
A veiled Penelope is standing with Portia just out of view of the congregation behind a white curtain. And I love the matching close-ups they have of Colin and Penelope, with the camera a little shaky as it finds Penelope behind that curtain.
Oh. Yeah, because it really captures that apprehension that she feels before she steps down the aisle. I mean, for one, she's a wallflower, isn't she? So this is very public. So she's about to be fully on display. But I think it's also the not knowing of exactly what she's walking into. And I like that they're veiled away from each other with that white curtain because she can't see him. And yeah, fair enough that she knows yesterday Colin put her in a carriage and said, I'll see you at the end of the aisle. But what kind of attitude is he coming with? Is he maybe thinking about not going through with it? Is he going to be there but just doing it
begrudgingly
to keep up appearances?
Yeah.
Will she see resentment in his eyes when she steps down there? Will there be anger? So all that apprehension of, okay, we're here, but what here is this?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that camera being just a little bit shaky as we're just in her mind, really close up just before she steps out.
And after Portia asks if Penelope is ready, the scene description states, Pen musters a nod right before the door opens and Pen bursts through the main room, all those eyes looking at her. For a moment, she's completely frozen, panicked. Lady Featherington is just smiling at everyone as cover. And then Pen's eyes find Colin's at the front of the room. And to her surprise and relief, the look Colin is returning is reassuring, seeing her fear and telling her, you can do this. And so she does, one foot in front of the other.
So that's pretty interesting because it sounds like the original intention was that Pen would make a bigger scene of being nervous. She bursts into the room, she's frozen in panic, Portia's trying to cover over by reassuring everyone. Mm-hmm. But I think it feels a lot more subtle than that in the final version.
Yeah.
It's more about Pen and Colin finding one another than Penelope panicking in front of everyone.
Yeah.
She does definitely take notice of everyone in the room. You can see how she's looking around everyone. You can feel how overwhelming it is for her. But the entire congregation seem very supportive of Pen. They're on Team Polin. Nice, isn't it? We thought there was going to be a massive scandal, but they couldn't care less. But yeah, I love the way the curtains pull back. The flower girls walk ahead, sprinkling their petals. And then Colin and Pen finally see one another.
And there is some marvelous acting from Luke as Colin first sees Pen walking down the aisle. His mouth drops open in wonder, and Colin finally collects himself and offers Pen a comforting nod. And this is where I think the choice of yellow works so perfectly, not just because it's always been the song that we've associated with Polin, but the way it is used. You have those slightly tense strings at the beginning of the song just before she walks down the aisle. But then, of course, we have the fan favorite moment where Penelope sees Colin for the first time and he nods at her. The nod being timed with, you know I love you so, is so clever and moving, subtly hinting that they are on the path to reconciliation and their love can overcome the conflict that has been weighing on them all episode. And Pen nods back in relief, fighting back tears, and she can finally muster a smile, ready to enjoy her wedding day.
Well done to everyone for timing that so perfectly with, you know I love you so, because that's exactly what that moment's conveying, right?
Magic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I love you, we're here, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a fan favourite scene. Well, not even a scene, a fan favourite moment for a reason. It really makes the wedding for me, I think.
Yeah.
Because I love the relief that Pen has when he nods, and she fully nods back in return, like she's fully there with him.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's a really moving moment between the two of them. I've personally always been a bit apprehensive of the wedding, and even now, looking back after like a year and a half, whatever, it's still very bittersweet for me, and I still have mixed emotions for it. But that nod is really important, and it really makes it for me. I think it's them communicating in a crowded room. It feels so true to who they are and the journey they've been on. And it's the reassurance that, like, yeah, they're in a really bad spot, but you can overcome this and you can continue to choose one another. And I think that's a lot of just what love is in general, isn't it? It's like you choose each other constantly, no matter what comes your way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know me, guys. I would give up at the first argument if it was me. But it's like the reassurance that, like, no, just because something dramatic happens doesn't mean that's the end of everything. And it's like you give up on everything that you've got.
It doesn't negate the love. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't negate the love, and it doesn't negate the fact that you can still choose each other even when things are difficult. So I like that in a very bittersweet episode, in a very bittersweet wedding, which should be such a joyous moment, there is that moment of connection between the two of them. It's so important. And I don't think the nod was in the script from what you said. It just sounded like a reassuring look. So it sounds like the nodding was something that was decided maybe on the day in rehearsals or between the director, the actors. So I really love the choice to include that.
And by the way, the nodding is catching after this point because Pen exchanges a nod with Eloise, a relieved Portia gets a nod from Violet, and somewhere across town, I imagine a royal footman wakes from having nodded off only to learn that Queen Charlotte has decided to gatecrash the wedding.
She's given him the nod to go ahead with the crash.
Yeah.
We're nodding all over the place, babe. So the other thing we're doing, we're nodding and we're walking down the aisle All eyes are on Pen. By the way, if anyone is wondering, the man who smiles at Penelope is not Lord Fife.
No.
I've stood this in great detail, don't you worry.
Yeah, trust us.
I've paid attention. It's just an uncanny valley lookalike. I fully believe that the Lord Squad were not invited to the wedding. But enough of the Lord Squad. How is our bride looking, Veg? Enter the paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs.
Buckle up.
Let's go, guys. Now for Pen, my fave gal. It's her day. Your wedding day is not the pinnacle of your life as a woman.
Certainly not Pen's. Jesus Christ.
However, it is a very important day for Pen in her history. So let's take a moment to appreciate it. Every day is Pen's day, but today especially. Before we jump in, what did you guys think Pen would wear? Because based on her looks in season 3, I wasn't expecting lace, but I thought maybe like a chiffon look, maybe kind of flowery.
Like a fairy-esque, soft, billowy sort of dress.
Yes, fairy-esque, that's exactly it. But what did you guys think?
That's what I thought. That's what I kind of hoped for, to be honest with you.
I don't think I had any expectations. I thought maybe something not looking like this, but the same vibe of Enchanted Pen or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Like an enchanted pen, but a lot softer, a lot lighter. But those big puffy shoulders I really wanted. Obviously, we had the delicate little chiffony gloves. But yeah, I didn't expect them to really go for such a different contrast. The only time I thought they might have gone for a real different look is if like Portia was very clearly in control of the wedding and she turned up in like a full Featherington dress.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of unusual to see her have such a consistent silhouette and style for the whole of the season. And it's a style that I really loved, like the softness, the fairy tale, for her to sort of take this pivot. But I assume there was a lot of thought put into this, Veg.
Yeah, so this dress, I really like it. I know it's controversial, but I do like the look. Some people go a different direction than what you're thinking they will on their wedding day. And that is all fine. I think it wasn't what we were expecting. But some people... Okay, that's enough contribution.
Sorry, Veg is just wrangling with her cat.
Literally a cat trying to weigh in.
She's fighting for her life here.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the second most important woman. Oh my God, third. Sorry to my girlfriend. Back to the third most important woman in my life. Pen.
Who's your first then?
First, joint first is Punks and my girlfriend.
Okay. Got you. I'm with you.
So this dress is a smooth, sleek, slightly blush pink dress. And I love the hint of blush, especially as white wasn't necessarily the fashion for wedding dresses until the Victorian times. So the story/history is that people wore white after Queen Victoria wore it to her wedding.
You're not telling me that Bridgerton is historically accurate for once, are you? Don't tell me that, Veg.
So John Glazer, who designed it, said on vulture.com and brides.com that people expected something more siren, bolder, or even more on the Featherington side of things this season. That's not who she is anymore. It's like the most stripped down version of a dress. It has to be stunning and unexpected. Glazer adds, it's not a caricature and it's not covered with flowers and trim. It's just a beautiful shape to make her body look as beautiful as we could. It is a little plain, though I do get what John is getting at.
Yeah, it's plain structured silhouette. It's just such a different silhouette than I'd expected. And it's just not quite the fabric I expected either. Because again, I thought it would be like very chiffony, very light and airy. And instead it's like a very structured satin fabric.
It is.
Yeah, just such a pivot. I suppose you get the beautiful veil though.
Yeah. And for those of you who, like me, watched Say Yes to the Dress every single day between 2009 and 2013, this language will make sense for you. If not, have a look at some wedding dress guides. But this dress is specifically an A-line trim and it has flutter off-the-shoulder capped sleeves, a romantic v-neck, and a tulle train. For those who didn't watch the show as dedicatedly as me, it's long, without many ruffles, and there's not much cleavage. There you go. And as we said, it's got a little blush to it. Nicola herself mentioned that she had a load of say in Penelope's dress, and it was inspired by one of her favourite designers, Vivienne Westwood. For Nicola, it was a combination of fashion and Bridgerton Regency magic. So the dress has definitely got a lot of fans. I'm like a medium fan, and I think you can't judge someone's wedding dress taste. Also, what I've learned from Say Yes to the Dress from their normal clothing. So regarding the blush, John Glazer went on to say that blush was chosen to suit Nicola, complement her skin tone, and to make sure that the veil wasn't too stark a contrast. Adorably, they actually considered a pale Bridgerton blue.
Oh,
Isn't that cute? It didn't look quite right though.
Not very bridal though. Yeah.
Well, remember they're historically accurate, so it can be any colour it likes of.
I think we've ticked off the blue and the green this season. She's done it. She's covered it. She's got it.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't seafoam green.
Uh-huh.
In that behind-the-scenes CBS video, looked like they were also trying lilac.
Yeah. They tried a few different ones.
Yes.
So what they settled on in the end was one that John describes as both pink and peach.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said that in the church, you've got one side with the Bridgerton family all wearing blue, and the other side are the Featheringtons wearing their garish colours. No one in that world wears what we'd call peach.
Shots fired.
They're all a bit extra.
So they wanted Pen to stand out.
Yeah.
Regarding her accessories, she has the tiniest little earrings and little fingerless gloves on, but she's otherwise unaccessorized. And I did see someone somewhere say that she didn't wear a necklace because she was fully open to Colin, which I think is lovely. She was freeing her neck.
Speaking from the heart and the bosom.
She was really trying her best that day, wasn't she? Like, please, where's the exquisite rubies when you need them, eh?
Yeah.
And her veil is very long. It's unimposing. And I just love seeing her so simple and open to her husband.
I do love the veil.
We have a bean.
Oh my God, we have a late arrival to the wedding.
And she's a redhead for the occasion.
Bean, you're interrupting Pen's walk down the aisle. What a way to upstage a girl on a wedding day. And you've dyed your hair the same colour.
Yes.
Very festive of you to join in the redheaded Featheringtons, babe. You look magnificent with your new hair.
Thank you. Even though I do also look a mess. I had a dream that my hair was like down to my mid back and it was like bright red. And so I was like, well, I'm going to grow it out and I'm going to let it be beautiful and red and look like the Little Mermaid.
Love that.
We're just talking about hair, makeup, a dress. What are your thoughts on Pen's wedding dress?
Amazing. I think it's a very modern dress. I mean, I think it's gorgeous. I think that Nicola looks beautiful in it.
Oh my God, undoubtedly, yeah.
Just stunning. I think I had hoped for something a little bit more of the era, if I'm being honest. And I know that Bridgerton's not historically accurate, whatever. It just felt a little bit out of place as wedding dresses go.
Because we were saying, Beans, that it felt very left field from what she'd been wearing all season as well.
Yes, right.
So had it been more in line, it could have still been anachronistic for the time period, but like, oh, of course she's wearing this. Like, she's been wearing this all season and this is her wedding style. But because it kind of comes from nowhere, you're like...
Right.
For me, it's not just the dress that I'm not the biggest fan of. I think with the hairstyling as well, I was so used to her soft romantic waves, sort of really relaxed softness, that the tight, intricate curls weren't quite the style. I think when I saw them filming it and I saw Nicola with those tight curls on the wig, I was like, oh no, it's a Featherington wedding in full force.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is that far, but it's a really beautiful look. But I think had it been more woven into her existing look that she'd had throughout the season, I would like it more. I'd really set my heart on like the fairy tale, soft fairy, you know, puffy sleeves that she'd had all season. Like, I love that look. It's so young and fresh.
Right.
Like the dress that Penelope wears in 304, Romantic Pen.
Yes. I've loved some florals on there.
Yeah.
Yes, something like that.
As always, Lecky, basically your wedding dress, darling.
Yeah, I think a lot of women as well, not like defending the dress, because I think you guys all make really good points. I think with a wedding dress in shows, it's so hard to get right.
Oh my God, yeah.
Every person who would wear a dress at their wedding has pictured what that dress would be.
Right.
Or their wedding outfit. Even if not much, it's come up in your head, what would I wear? Or you've been married and that was a big moment.
Yeah.
So I think there's so much in that. It's not like every other dress.
Yeah.
So people who it didn't resonate with can see why that disappointment might have been like stronger.
Right.
I would say I'm not disappointed. I just really, really like the romantic styles we saw in her earlier in the season.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that in her wedding dress as opposed to that more modern silhouette.
Right. A sort of whimsy.
Yeah.
Whimsy.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
I suppose this is a combination of the whimsy of Pen the young girl and the sort of business independence of Whistledown, because she's both now. So it's that kind of meeting. I like the pink though. I like that. I think she looks beautiful. I think the silhouette as she's at the front with the billowing veil is so stunning in the church as well.
Yeah.
I will say that there's like a maturity to it.
Yeah.
It seems womanly and grown up, and that really matches the tone of the wedding dance they initially planned to take me to church.
Yes.
Because because that song has a sultriness to it.
Yeah.
So this outfit actually really matches that as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of other outfits at the wedding, Portia's outfit also has touches of blue, a shade that's not normally associated with the Featherington color palette. And if you go back to the entrapment scene earlier this episode, you can see that she's also wearing subtle blue touches in her dress there, as well as tiny blue and purple feathers in her hair, kind of quietly putting on the idea of being connected to the Bridgertons. But here she is openly declaring that the two families are now united.
She's all in.
Oh, that's cute. And Portia looked great, but she always looks great.
She did look great. Beans, Portia walked her down the aisle.
I know.
Do you remember all the discussion that there was, that it wouldn't be Portia, that it'd be Anthony, that Pen would have to walk down by herself because she hated Portia so much?
Yeah.
But how deserved, how fitting for their season 3 arc that they'd walk down together.
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us realized how important the Portia and Penelope relationship would be this season.
I actually felt like Portia would probably walk her down the aisle because in the show, she doesn't have a relationship with Anthony.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Or let alone Benedict.
Right.
They don't know who she is.
I mean, they know who she is, but it's just like they don't interact with her. And so there's like no true reason for them to like walk her down the aisle. This whole series was about like, besides the romance, was about relationships between women, friendships, motherhood. It's all about like the relationships that women have. And so it would have been so weird to have them be telling the story of Portia coming to terms with who Pen is and then having Anthony walk her down the aisle.
Yeah.
I'd have paid good money, to be fair.
Like, what the hell would he say to her, you know?
Portia could have strong-armed him into it because of, like, the spectacle of it.
Yeah, true.
Like, you know, the Viscount walking my daughter down the aisle.
Yeah.
Well, in the books, Anthony really can't stand Pen that much once she's married to Colin. He has a go at her constantly. So I'd have liked to seen that straight away, just shouting at each other down the aisle. But we need to get back to walking down the aisle. Beans, can you set the scene for us? Can you give us a little rendition of Yellow? It can be instrumental. It can be live vocals. Just sort of set the scene. Close your eyes. Imagine Pen in a beautiful dress.
Okay.
Coldplay's in the background.
Look at the stars. I'm still
She's still ill. I'm so sorry.
She's still in her smelly cat era.
Yeah, but my voice is still recovering.
Yeah.
Look how they shine for you and everything you do. And it was all yellow. Ah, 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 ah. That's the angels.
Yeah.
Would you love to hear that walking down the aisle?
That really sums up the wedding, to be honest with you, babe.
Sorry, guys. While my voice sounds normal, my singing voice is still like laryngitis-y. So
Yeah, it doesn't sound like your lung capacity is quite back yet, babe.
no, still struggling. 2 months. 2 months of being ill, plus pink eye for 2 weeks, plus whatever the fuck else was in there too. I'm done. I'm done being sick.
Yeah.
We shall continue with the beautiful wedding.
And the gods answered.
Oh,
You can't see, but we're swaying.
And it was all yellow.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Thank you. As Pen makes her way down the aisle to Beans' beautiful, beautiful voice, she shares a look with Elle, and I love that. Do you remember some fans didn't even think Elle would turn up to the wedding at all? So we got her seated, we got her in the pews, that's a win.
Well, she also wasn't spotted on the day.
Yeah.
So everyone was stressing out.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of sad in one way that she wasn't the bridesmaid, but I understand why both is like a relationship and it's like a storytelling.
Yeah.
But I love the small moment they have. As you say, Lecky, nodding clearly runs in the family. They're nodding away at one another. And over on the Featherington side, Prue also looks just as moved at the sight of Pen, which we will come back to a little bit later on at the wedding reception.
And as Penelope finally reaches Colin, the scene description gives us insight into what they are thinking, saying, Pen and Colin are uncertain as they look into one another's eyes, and yet there is hope here, which I think is a really beautiful way to capture the bittersweet moment that we find them in.
Pen passes her bouquet to Portia, and Portia and Violet share their own little nod, Violet finally finding peace with her fate as a Featherington in-law. The congregation sit, Vitamin String Quartet put down their strings, and Reverend Hughes welcomes us all to the ceremony. I love the framing of Pen and Colin together, the way they're standing in front of their families with flowers surrounding them. And as I say, I love the silhouette of her at the altar, especially her veil. It's perfect. So let's get ourselves married, shall we? Editing Lecky, give me some wedding music, please. Who wants to be Reverend Hughes?
Oh, Reverend Hughes.
Oh, Veg is the Reverend. Okay, who's going to be Colin?
I'll do Colin.
Hell yeah, you do Colin.
You do Colin, and you do Pen. Let's do this. Okay, we've set the scene. The congregation have sat. Take it away, Reverend Hughes.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here in the sight of God and this congregation to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony. Wilt thou have this woman to be thy wedded wife, to live together in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou forsake all others?
She forgot her new echo feature on her microphone.
Keeping thee only unto her, so long as you both shall live.
I, Colin Bridgerton, take thee, Penelope Featherington,
Where the fuck are the middle names?
to be my wedded wife, to have and to hold.
I, Penelope Marie Featherington, take thee, Colin.
Anne, it's Anne. How long have we been doing this? For
Colin
fuck's sake.
Anderson Bridgerton, to be my wedded husband, to have and to hold.
With this ring, I thee wed.
With my body, I thee worship.
And she will.
And by the joining of hands, I now pronounce that they be man and wife together. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen.
That's great.
That was really something. I don't know how that happened, but I felt God. I don't know how we bounced back from that. I'm surprised we got the full vows in the show, to be honest. I'm surprised at the full vows that we got here. I think we know which are the most superior. I think I expected like more of a montage than anything, but like we fully sat down for the whole thing.
Why this season?
Well, I think because at that point, I think she needs to hear him say it, like, I will take you. I will actually marry you. Like,
Sure.
you know what? It's shaky ground. We actually need to hear those words in full.
Yeah, the bouquet actually worked on me.
Yeah. And I think it shows that he is choosing her in the marriage and that no matter what's surrounding them, they're both very much still wanting to get married. It also has the tie-in to the side characters as well. So you get the moments of Fran and John together during the vows, looking at each other. Till death do you part, babes. A very happy Cantony and a very lonely Eloise. Also, it's so touching that when Reverend Hughes declares them man and wife, Colin smiles down at Penelope before he reaches in to kiss her first. No prompt needed. He's all in.
Love it. And as they kiss and gaze into each other's eyes, the church bursts into applause. Chris Bauer's score here is really beautiful, and it's so emotional to pan over to see Eloise jumping to her feet, clapping in happiness, and wiping away her tears.
My favourite moment. She's clapping but crying and happy but sad. Oh, Claude Jessie kills it.
I also absolutely love how their hands come together after they've exchanged their vows. It's like they're symbolically finding each other again in this moment. And also shout out to the phenomenal way that Luke and Nick portrayed this. The scene description for this reads, Pen and Colin turn to face the crowd, taking in this moment. They are man and wife from this day forward, off this potent mix of trepidation and joy as Colin takes Pen's hand. But I love how Nick and Luke actually interpreted this in the show, because you can see how like erratic and anxious Pen's movements are and how her hand finally settles and stills when it finally finds Colin's. And again, props to the costuming team for those fingerless gloves, giving this moment a little bit more intimacy than it would otherwise. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, their hands kind of stumble towards one another and then they hold each other and then they're like holding tight. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do I see a bee on a ring, perhaps, Lecky?
Yes. Penelope's wedding ring is sporting a bee, which is just as morbid as we would expect from any Bridgerton, so Pen already fits right in.
Well, we did it, pals. We finally got them married. It was looking a bit hairy there for a second, especially when Bean stormed in halfway through the ceremony. I didn't know which way that was going to go, darling, but...
Looking like the bride.
Looking like the bride.
Oh, how dare I?
She's like, there's only room for one redhead in here.
What if I also came in wearing white? I'm wearing grey.
What is everyone wearing to the wedding? I'm wearing a Moulin Rouge musical t-shirt, which is a happy love story than this episode.
I'm wearing my mom's grey work t-shirt.
Lovely. Veg.
Pomegranate pajamas.
Oh, trapped in the underworld. Very nice.
I've got like a wine-colored v-neck.
Yeah.
Like a berry?
Yeah.
Very autumnal.
Yeah.
Well, we got them married. What did you all think? I think we've talked about it a lot. I think we all find it quite bittersweet.
Yeah.
We didn't actually see the Polin wedding in the book, and personally I wasn't that bothered about the wedding in the book. And to be honest, when the season was coming out, I wasn't that bothered about the wedding being shown in the show either. Like, I like a wedding, but it's not essential. However, when you're at this point in the episode and this point in the season, I think you really need to see the wedding.
Yeah.
You really need to see them choosing each other. You need them to have this big public spectacle, but where they're together and choosing themselves for themselves,
right?
Even in the middle of all this turmoil.
Also, let's be honest, like, Bridgerton has made it one of their many signatures to have a wedding in the season. Unfortunately,
except for season 2.
They had a wedding.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I mean, they still had a wedding. They should have used it on Canthony. I agree.
Yeah.
I will say that. They should have used the wedding on Canthony. I think it could have been beautiful.
Yeah.
However, they needed a really dramatic moment for Anthony to realize his true feelings.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of in their signature that they have a wedding each season.
Yep, there's one for season 4.
So we were going to get it anyway. Do I think that, like, we needed to see it? No, especially with everything that comes after. But I also think so many dramatic things happen at these weddings. You know, Anthony realizes he cannot live without
India.
Kate.
Oh, you meant
India.
His revelation.
That was season 2's revelation. India is the season 3 revelation.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was like he just really wants to go on a boat. Sorry, got lost then.
Yeah.
Right. And then, like, this had to be, like, the queen coming in and saying, "You Bridgertons are Miss Whistledown."
They write collectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And season 1 was kind of quiet. Oh no, like, Simon had to walk in and be like, "I love this bitch."
They were not happy.
Yeah.
They were not happy either.
Right.
I know what you mean though, Beans, because I'm there being like, you need this moment for them choosing each other.
Right.
But then it goes to shit again. So like, it's one step forward, 2 steps back again.
That's what I hate.
Like, if this was the final resolution, you'd be like, oh my God, yay, we get the payoff. But it just goes to shit. So it's like, oh, all that for nothing.
Yeah.
And you're just going to sit on the fucking sofa the next day.
I think we'll come back to that. But yeah, that's exactly my frustration with it.
But like, how do you feel about the ceremony itself?
I think I may have been passed out for this entire scene, actually, because I just kept spamming Ovs with this little sticker thing of a Polin fan crying in a puddle of their own tears.
Yeah.
And I think that was just very much me in that moment.
The ceremony is very, very moving. And we heard from our lovely listeners on Patreon about this. She said, other than Queen Charlotte interrupting, the wedding is perfection itself. Their nods, their smiles, the tentativeness that becomes sureness. That was a really beautiful way to phrase it, G.
Yeah.
It's so meaningful to me that they still haven't resolved everything, but are consciously choosing each other and wordlessly saying that what we have is more important. We will get through this. So beautiful. And it feels very real, not like some fairy tale. I agree. That's a very, very good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Ashley said, one thing I don't understand about the wedding is the lack of maiden honour and best man, like Anthony had with Edwina. I realised that did not end up well for him. The Bridgerton's like, never again.
Never again.
I'm a best man.
Jinx.
Yeah, it was the maid of honour that was the trouble at that wedding, so there's no fucking maids of honour.
It's hilarious.
Although, it's not like Eloise was going to marry Colin.
I think that Colin just wanted to have, like, it's my time!
How would he have chosen? Should have had Greg, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this when we were talking about her walking down the aisle, and I was wondering if it's maybe that the church isn't that big.
Yeah.
Not with those bloody arches, it's not. They really drastically reduce the size. It's a big chapel itself, but...
And also the way they framed the shot, there isn't really a lot of room for other people. The frame may have even looked a little bit cluttered if they had someone stepping up with Colin and Pen.
Yeah. I like to think that Colin couldn't choose out of his brothers.
Yeah.
Couldn't choose best man. I think with Penelope, she couldn't have had her sisters because I'm pretty sure that back then bridesmaids had to be maids, so they couldn't be married women.
Yeah.
So that cuts both her sisters out of the running.
Or they were a bride's matron.
And Eloise refused.
And then obviously you have Elle, and yeah, I don't even know that Pen would have asked her. Do you know, like when you're in a bit of a rocky place in a relationship, and Pen knows this feeling very fucking well at this point, and you know that you can't quite ask that of someone.
Right.
Also, I think from a storytelling perspective, they wanted
Genevieve.
Pen and... yeah, where's Jen?
Yeah, it could have been Genevieve.
Get her there. Well, do you know, like celebrity weddings, they will have the designer of the dress be there to like flounce out the dress perfectly. You could have had her there.
Right.
But with Eloise, I think that they needed that storytelling moment of Pen passing Eloise and almost having that moment of connection that they wouldn't have been able to have. And they're just not there yet. So very sad. Victoria said, I really love how at the wedding, despite it all, the love between Colin and Pen radiates out. There will be no doubt to everyone in attendance how much they love each other.
Yeah.
I've always thought this viewing was a real turning point for Prudence, as you can see her and Dankworth look at each other lovingly after the vows. I would love your analysis on the episode character arc of Prudence, from sulking to complimenting the bride side. And Nick added, I also noticed this about Prudence. I love how she becomes kinder to Pen, but still keeps a little bit of her narcissistic side, in my opinion. Yeah, she goes on a journey. Mm-hmm. She's like really sad and unsettled by being usurped in Portia's eyes. And then she really reconciles and there's a moment later at the reception where she compliments her and she's being genuine.
Yeah, like when Penelope is getting dressed for the wedding, Prudence also looks very put out there. She has like her head on her hands. But I feel like in this moment, she can't help but be happy for Penelope.
Right.
Yeah. And I like what Victoria said about her learning about love from that moment. And I think you do see her opening up more to Dunkworth. And it's how a true love story can, radiate outwards through the ton. And it's like Portia has a lot of realizations about love from seeing Pen. And then Maeve said, I find I can't truly enjoy the wedding because of the Modiste scene the night before. I feel they should have resolved their feelings for each other before the wedding, even if Colin's anger over Whistledown was still present during the wedding scenes. Like in the book, even though he's still angry over the gossip Colin, we are still sure of his love for Pen. I think maybe the feeling for that is because it's such a bittersweet scene. But as we say...
You're talking to the choir.
The choir is here in attendance.
It's beans.
With the wedding being undercut so quickly, I feel like you lose that. Had you had this bittersweet scene that had moved forwards,
right,
maybe it wouldn't have hit so hard as being upsetting and disappointing.
Yeah.
But because you retreat immediately, you're like, fuck's sake, I thought we were getting somewhere.
I feel like that wedding dance also conveys so much. I feel like that is the moment of resolution for them, but then we're yanked backwards, like several steps backwards when the queen arrives. I don't really mind that they don't completely settle everything at the Modiste scene, just because the payoff of the wedding dance, of them dancing together in a room full of people, reconnecting through dance, is so powerful.
Well, we're off to go throw our yellow and blue confetti. We'll see you all at the reception.
And we finally arrived at the wedding breakfast, but the script reveals that this is no ordinary wedding breakfast. This is a classic Lady Featherington Vegas Versace spectacular with nearly all of the ton invited. I do take issue with this because where is Genevieve, as we've said?
Where is Jen? As we say, where the fuck is she? I'm sorry, do you know how not everyone gets an invite to the ceremony, but you can invite more people to the reception?
Right.
How has she not even made that list?
Yeah.
Right.
Disrespectful.
They don't do that in America. They just invite everyone to everything, I think.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
They don't do the evening guest thing.
Well, here you have like a two-tier, like...
I've heard of it.
Yeah, here it's very clear. It's like, I like you enough for you to be here in the evening, but I'm not paying for lunch for you as well. It's that kind of vibe. Yeah, the wedding list is wonky, isn't it? I mean, obviously, Lord Fife isn't there. We said... maybe understandable. How the fuck does what's her name get there though? Bloody Livingston. Clara, that's her name. Clara Livingston. How did she get an invite? She was a complete bitch to her. Are you joking me?
Oh, that's true.
Portia was in charge of the wedding invite.
And we'll get to it, but there's a gatecrasher, not Cressida.
Not Beans either.
So, like, Genevieve could have just popped up.
No excuses. But our listener Heels K asked the really important question. How many times do we see the red jelly mould at the wedding breakfast? I was distracted by that thing the moment I saw the server carry it across the screen. Oh my God. The minute you see it. In fact, there's a lot of stuff going on with the food at that wedding.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say I've focused on a lot of the other food, but I've never really focused on the jelly mold.
Right, Lecky, we're doing another rewatch. We'll come back to you next week with another rewatch, the jelly edition.
Okay.
But Beans.
Yeah.
I wrote this for you and I'm sorry.
You wrote this for me?
I did.
I think I've seen this room before and I didn't like the ending. What is going on in this room, Beans? Where are we?
The reception was filmed at Claydon House.
Mm-hmm.
We approve.
Okay. Located in Buckinghamshire.
Sure.
Oh, so close. So close, babe.
What is it?
Shh.
Buckinghamshire.
Ow!
Oh.
And don't say the ham. I hear you about to say the ham. Don't say it.
Don't
Sorry.
say hi.
Sorry, Greta just put her nails in my butt cheek. So.
A lot just happened to Beans. We were shouting, don't say ham.
Beans was being clawed in the bum.
Attacked by a cat.
I was getting little daggers in my butt cheek.
Clawed in the ham, if you will.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, located in Buckinghamshire. We visited Claydon earlier in the episode during the entrapment scene, but we have more time now to admire the surroundings. Claydon House was built by Luke Lightfoot, a man, a jealous architect, once described.
Which just goes, a man.
How dare he?
Already on a bad start.
I know. I'm done with you. A jealous architect once described as an ignorant knave with no small spice of madness. Apparently, there was some truth to that, as the house had a lot of structural problems and had to be rebuilt, but the interiors, according to Home and Antiques, are nevertheless sublime, dazzling, and quite unexpected. Polin's reception is filmed in the aptly named eating room, which is a decorated, fantastical Rococo plasterwork featuring all sorts of birds, including mythical ho-ho birds, and our favorite, swans.
Oh, Devlin, come back.
The production designers cleverly incorporated these designs into the scene itself with Polin's wedding cake, which echoes the plasterwork around the room and is topped by swans.
Beautiful. This is one of my favorite moments of the episode where we find Finch and Dankworth staring up at the swan cake in wonder.
Lucky, we've got swans on a cake. The sequel to Birds on a Plane, evidently.
Isn't it snakes on a plane?
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes, what did I say?
Birds on a plane.
I had Devlin on the mind.
It's Snakes on a Plane 3. Snakes on a Plane 2 is Birds on the Plane.
Yeah.
Snakes on a Plane 3 is Swans on a Cake.
On a cake.
Right.
Lucky, there's the swans on a cake. Are you not happy with that?
Could have used more swans overall, I'll just say.
Could have used more swans. We'll take the note.
Right.
Also, a cake, the symbolism. We've been here, we've done that. What's Pen up to?
But meanwhile, Penelope is telling Portia that she has outdone herself with the reception decor. Portia asks if she likes it, and I love how Polly delivers that line. Do you like it? And Penelope, with genuine affection, tells her it is truly magnificent. The two are then joined by Prudence, who has come to offer her congratulations. As Prudence compliments Pen, you can see Penelope waiting for the insult to follow, especially when Portia is suddenly pulled away from the two of them. Pen asks, would you like to say how you really feel now? But Prudence is being honest. She really does think that Penelope makes a fine bride. And I like how Pen looks to Philippa after Prudence says that is how she really feels. Philippa just gives Pen this look that's kind of like, duh, haven't you been paying attention?
Oh, and as we said a moment ago, I love how the storyline was woven through the second half and how Pen is surprised at the compliment and she sort of takes it and has to readjust her mindset about her sisters. And then also Prudence's little half smile, half shrug. She's like, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And it helps us build up to next episode when we have the full embracing of the three feathering sisters together. But enough of that. How is our reception bride looking then? She's gone for a little switcheroo.
Yes, indeed. She's got a second look for the reception, which is very in trend in 2025. So we see a different side to the wedding dress here. And as Variety says, she pulls a Lady Gaga at the Met Gala, removing half of her dress at the reception breakfast to spin around the ballroom with her new husband.
Love it.
She also removes her veil.
And our Polin hearts flutter as Penelope and Colin lock eyes across the reception hall. Be Still are Season 1 Hastings Ball, Season 2 Featherington Ball, etc., hearts. I think this is such a cute and clever choice from the writers here. They somehow managed to inject almost will they or won't they tension back into the story, even though Polin are now married. Clearly, Polin want to go to each other, but humorously, they're prevented because an interloper has shown up, Hyacinth. Much like the way Elle whisks off Pen at the races in 202, for example. And it's a fun little comedic beat that simultaneously builds anticipation toward the moment that Polin finally get to be alone, even in the middle of a crowd of people.
Hyacinth intercepts and assures Colin he had the most beautiful wedding and stunning bride before asking him why he looks so vacant. What a fucking read that girl has on everyone around her.
I love that.
You only hear it as like the camera is trailing away. She's like, why do you look so vacant?
By the way, that line isn't in the script.
She added that.
Hilarious.
What a read of a character. I can't wait to her season.
Yeah.
I know.
But what else is going on across the way?
As Lady Danbury hints to Violet that she's finally reconciled with Marcus, Benedict finds Eloise alone in a side room, and he asks, is all well with you? I saw you crying at the ceremony. What else was she supposed to do? She's emotional. Anyway, Eloise replies that they were simply tears at losing another friend to marriage. The other friend she is referencing, of course, is Theo in that cutscene that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, she must have got dust in her eyes, Alec. Oh, I really, really enjoyed this scene with Ben and Elle. You have this sort of back and forth where he's like, tell me your favourite sibling, to which she says, Gregory. But I love what Benedict says. He says, I know there is room enough in your heart for the rest of us. Love is not finite, Eloise. The friendship you have with Penelope is a lucky thing, as is the one you have with Colin. An interesting lesson for Ben to offer. Love is not finite. And I really, really like him in these moments when he has these sort of moments of wisdom to impart with his siblings.
But is he just hinting towards his throuple dalliances?
He's convincing himself into his threesome, yeah, unfortunately. You think it's some emotional revelation. It's not.
Yeah.
He's going to skip the wedding in a sec.
Yeah.
It really ties into Eloise's mixed emotions of loving them both, being happy for them both, but feeling like she's lost a bit of them as well. And we've seen this in 305, and it propels her to leave to Scotland, because that'll solve everything, in 308. Eloise deflects, a lot of dust in here too. Excuse me, I'm going to find some champagne. And as Benedict decides to fuck off and find a threesome, he places his glass down on the table with some adorable castle cakes. Get a look at those castle cakes.
Very cute.
Maybe it's foreshadowing of Eloise's little castle adventures in Scotland.
Huh. Yeah. And as Cressida plans her great escape, aided by a helpful maid, we then head immediately back to the reception.
It's a short interlude.
Where the Mondriches are being invited to yet another society event before yet another party guest calls out their names. Next time you're watching the scene, look at Will and Alice as they turn around to greet this man, who you can see walking toward them in the frame. This scene actually stretched on for much longer in the original script, as the man was revealed to be a cousin thrice removed who had a favor to ask of them.
Another interloper at this wedding. How does this guy get an invite to the wedding? But Jen's stitching back at the fucking Midi shop.
Another gatecrasher. Yep.
Another gatecrasher. We've got a little cut scene here, though, Lecky, have we not?
We do.
So Mr. Davis is his name, and we find a little bit about him. He reveals he lives with his daughters in Bournemouth. Have you ever been to Bournemouth, Veg? I haven't.
Yes, my ex was from there.
Oh.
Sorry to bring that up. Jesus Christ.
Good gravy.
No worries.
Moving swiftly on. So Mr. Davis, this is so forward. He says, we heard of your great fortune all the way in Bournemouth, by which I mean your luck, of course. That's a drag, isn't it? In coming into title. Alice then said, who the fuck are you? Are you friendly with the Featheringtons or the Bridgertons? Like, show me your credentials, bride or groom.
Right.
As the script says, meaning, what are you doing here? And this Mr. Davis says,
This is a funny comment.
No. But talk of the great size of this ceremony reached all the way to the countryside.
Yes.
So Portia's party planning spread near and far and wide.
Yes.
Every fucking person's heard about it. Everyone's got an invite to it. Did Sir Philip and Marina get an invite? That's the question I want to know.
Probably, yeah.
I'd hope so. I think that, like, Portia is just the right amount of petty that she absolutely would.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Good point.
Anyway, Mr. Davis, this character, says, I assumed they would not mind one additional guest. Do you know how fucking expensive weddings are? It's so rude. Do you know people that RSVP? And then this guy, it's like, do you know that there are people who do that at funerals?
Yes.
Like, some people have a hobby of turning up to funerals just for the food of, like, complete strangers.
Interesting, yeah.
He's a wedding version. And he said, especially so I could see my long-lost family and discern if I might share in a little of your luck. Long-lost cousin. And he says, I would very much like you to sponsor my eldest daughter when she's ready to make her debut, of course. Off Mr. Davis's sickly sweet smile and Will and Alice trying to hide their concern. So, what's going on, Lecky?
So basically, the flower ball was such a success that a distant relative now wants them to use their newfound social standing to elevate his own daughter, asking them to sponsor her next season when she makes her debut.
He's like, if you can afford a floral Dalek, you can fucking pay for my daughter to come to town.
Right. She also wants a mechanical engineering degree.
Yeah, so there's a precedent for this, isn't there, where a wealthy family sponsors a distant relative to come to town and find a husband.
Yeah.
So this storyline was completely cut from the season. Do you think it's going to rear its head in season 4?
It makes sense to me that they might include something similar in season 4 just because of the class differences.
Yeah.
And like having the Mondriches who were initially from a lower class and have been elevated, having to do the same for somebody else and maybe having some complications ensue from that. I feel like it would actually work in a Benedict and Sophie season, but I don't know.
It might need a bit of a change because I feel like the reason it was taken out was like, why would they say yes to that? A random guy crashing the wedding and asking for help.
Yeah.
This is a huge subplot. So they actually debate about this for a while. Lady Danbury is like, this could reflect poorly on you if something goes wrong. Because like, you know, season 1, Marina, that whole situation. But eventually they decide to do it because they want to champion other people the way that they've kind of been given this opportunity that they wouldn't have been afforded otherwise. That actually really makes sense for like a Mondrich season-long arc.
Storyline, yeah.
To help other people.
True.
Maybe it was just introduced in a clumsy way because it's very much given to, you know, like the spam emails you get where it's like, I'm a princess and I need you to send me £50,000. It's like,
Right.
why would you trust a random man who just appeared at a random wedding he wasn't invited to and was like, we're definitely related? It's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
I can see them championing her and championing and helping others still. But I think to start it off, they'd need something a bit more dramatic and classic. So, like, someone who knows that Will used to throw the matches, threatens him.
Oh my God, yeah, like blackmailing him into it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Then it all turns out okay in the end.
Well, talking of subplots, has anyone seen Cantoning?
No.
Yeah.
Lecky has. Unfortunately, Lecky has.
Yes. A very loved up Cantony are having a moment to reflect on some other recent family nuptials, namely Edwina's recent marriage. We don't know exactly who her husband is, but we learn that he's not only a reader, but has cultivated in her a love for the outdoors. She has even been riding with him.
I bet she has.
Cantony's conversation inspires Antony to make a pretty sudden suggestion of putting his pregnant wife on a ship and sailing them both to India.
Good choice.
I do like Antony's reasoning here. He wants his child to experience India and to know they are just as much a Sharma as they are a Bridgerton. But it does feel kind of ridiculous for Cantony to set sail when Kate is already pregnant. I know production needed to find a way to write them both out of episode 8 because of Johnny Bailey and Simone Ashley's scheduling, but I think it would have made more sense for them to maybe go to Aubrey Hall.
Yeah, and how much culture is a newborn going to soak up?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I read that it took about 120 days to sail from London to India.
Damn.
And she's very visibly pregnant already.
Is she going to have her baby on the boat?
Well, his reasoning is like, we'll get there and we'll unpack, we'll get everything ready. It's like, I don't know how much time you're going to be on dry land before she pops it. So, I mean, like the baby, not her life.
Also, the motion of the ocean might get it going quicker.
Also, Anthony, who is like traumatized by childbirth, and his last memory of childbirth is Violet like almost dying.
His mother in distress.
Right.
You're gonna put your pregnant wife on a ship where they might not have like a doctor? It doesn't make sense to me.
Also, why did they take a boat when they could have just like taken a train?
That is a good point, that they could have taken a boat to France, like Bean said, and then taken a train.
Yeah.
I think that Anthony just really likes the sea. He saw Pirate Colin come back and is like, I'd like some of that for myself.
You know what they could have even fucking done? They could have, hip-hopped into like a little carriage type situation and...
Hot air balloon?
Yeah, I was going to say the balloon.
Yeah, hot air balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask Hawkins to whack something up.
Like, I mean, trade was happening with different countries, also via horse, like...
Around the world in 80 days, 20 days to India.
But like that way, it's like if they went through there instead of on a boat, they could have stopped at any other country,
Yeah.
if she was giving birth to the child.
Make a pit stop.
Right. Just lowered the balloon. Yeah.
Well, happy sailing, you two. I'm sure that will go... I would say swimmingly, but I assume you don't want to be swimming in the middle of the sea. Good luck to you both.
Was there a train to India in 1816 from Europe?
15.
Wow.
It's close enough.
Knowing our luck, there would have been some incredible advancement between the winter of 1850 and 1860.
Okay. No, there was not a train until 1853.
Oh, God, born too early, eh?
Sorry, missed it by 40 years. And across the room, Penelope is busy thanking guests and staring wistfully over at Colin. You'd think that being married to him would put a stop to these wistful gazes she's given him since season 1, but apparently not. Portia heads over to check on her daughter, with Penelope admitting that although she is enjoying herself, it is a little overwhelming. And Portia informs Penelope that weddings are never for the bride and groom, neither are wedding nights, apparently.
Too soon, Lucky. Literally too soon. Although I do laugh when Portia can't help but make that little comment about the wedding never being for the bride and groom. Even when things are well between the couple, it's like, she knows. She's very well aware. Thanks for rubbing it in. And I like that poor Pen just nods really sadly. She's like, yeah, things are shit, Mum.
But Pen is thankful to Portia for not interfering with Colin, to which Portia says she's not had time to meddle with all of the wedding planning she's had to do. The two then share a sweet smile together before Portia strokes her cheek. It's actually really, really cute.
People love stroking their cheek.
And reassures Penelope that she will find a way to resolve things with Colin.
Portia being the number one Polin shipper is the story we're all here for. What a change from the beginning of episode 5, eh?
Pen again locks eyes with Colin. The script says that they share another charged look before Pen finally bridges the gap between them, striding across the room. She asks Colin if they can get away from the edge of the room because she has spent so long cleaning to walls like this, and she says, I do not wish to do that any longer. Colin asks where she wants to go. After all, he's always been more than happy to pull Pen into an empty room, but Penelope tells him that she wishes to go to the center.
Yep, Colin is not really in the mood for a meet and greet, but Penelope proposes that they dance together. Her husband protests it's a wedding breakfast and the sun is still out, God forbid the scandal, but Pen simply tells him she should like to dance with her husband in the light of the day.
Cute.
After all, they danced in a church, so why not here? I suppose the answer to that, Pen, is context, babe. That was 306. It's 307. A lot's changed. There's a lot of water under a lot of bridges, but, you know, have a little dance if you think that'll help.
The fire is still burning.
Just about. And, you know, it's really beautiful symbolism what she says, because obviously she is the perennial wallflower and she's actively choosing to step out of the shadows, if you will, and into the light, which has been such a thematic journey for them both this season. But it's her actively choosing to bring them both from the shadows into the light and sort of find that reuniting ground again.
I also love how thrilled, rule breaker Colin is by the suggestion of dancing at their wedding eating breakfast.
Clearly, it's not a custom at the moment. I mean, these days, there's a Grease medley on. Everyone's dancing in the middle, having a great time, but evidently it was not the done thing at the time because everyone is pretty surprised to see them walk to the centre of the room and begin to dance. Finch is smiling. Vitamin String Quartet are picking back up their instruments to begin to play You Belong With Me. You got Vi, Hyacinth and Greg watching them, smiling. And thus we have the infamous wedding dance. And Nicola and Luke talked about this. Nicola said, it was the first dance throughout this whole process that I felt I didn't have to learn. It just sort of happened. This one was just so beautiful and intimate, and it's two people who love each other, but there's just such a mess in between them. Luke agreed, saying they're in a real difficult spot. They're going through so many different emotions within just one dance, which we've not really had before. Nicola added, their head and their heart are sort of at war at the minute. They obviously love each other, but are not expressing that. In coming together for this dance, it's a nice moment. And then it gets very quickly rudely interrupted by the Queen. It would have been fine had Golden not marched in with her amazing wig and dress, but it was beautiful and filming it was really emotional. Luke concluded, it was such an amazing moment just to do this dance we've been preparing for months and kind of put a button on our whole story and be like, everything is going to be okay. I mean, dancing has been part of the Polin love story from day one, right?
Yes.
All the way from 101,
Vauxhall.
We've got 208. There's quite a big gap in between those two episodes.
To be honest, they could have had more dances.
They should have had more dances.
But dances have always connected them from Vauxhall the first time they danced together.
Yeah. So it's very fitting that this is how they find each other now and how they express their love, even if they're not in a position to say it with words at the moment.
I mean, it was mentioned by Anthony.
It was indeed.
But he said it does not signify. And as Polin fans knew, it very much did signify.
But they danced multiple times, he said. Where was it?
Right.
But back to this dance, Nicola commented on this by saying the dancing in Bridgerton is one of the most iconic things about the series. When you see the dances between the main couple, it's like magic. And Luke commented, the dancing for the show feels particularly important with Colin and Penelope because of the journey that they've had. And choreographer Jack Murphy also weighed in on this by saying, their love has been on and off and has been unrequited, so there are lots and lots of layers.
Like an onion.
This number is the scale of 3 years. It's big in terms of expressing romanticism for two people that we have known for a long time.
So, of course, the infamous wedding dance. The two become lost in each other's eyes. Those around them are mesmerised, but they don't sort of see the wedding guests. It's just the two of them, to the extent that they're pulled into the age-old, 2005 old trick from Pride and Prejudice, the movie, where the rest of the world disappears and it's just the two of them dancing in an empty room together.
Love it.
To really get into the mindset of how they see themselves in that moment. We're all big fans of Pride and Prejudice, so we signed up for this moment.
Yeah.
But outside those around them, others begin to dance and join them, so inspired by seeing them together. So John asked Fran to dance. He's not a dancer, as Fran points out, but he says, perhaps we should both be more bold in declaring ourselves.
Very cute.
What a Fran podcast. Polin inspires John, he inspires Fran, and then that kind of inspires her to speak out to the Queen later, doesn't it? So it's all a big circle. Also, do you remember this? That when a clip was released of John and Fran dancing at the wedding,
Yes.
it had Penelope in the background with her dress.
Oh, yeah.
And this fucking guarded secret that had been so guarded for months and months and months.
Yeah.
We saw the wedding dress because it was accidentally included in a little clip of Fran and John.
Yeah.
Do I have anything against Fran and John? No, but that was classic behaviour.
Meanwhile, Marcus pulls Violet for a chat.
Which Anthony is fucking furious at. Kate calms him down. I suppose she's like, we're off to India, babe. What the fuck are you going to do about it here?
Vicus then inform one another that their affairs are nearly in order, meaning they can potentially move full steam ahead with their own love affair.
And Anthony says he oversteps. Kate calms him down by saying, our family is happy and together. Do not take that for granted. Who the fuck is out there booking tickets to India? She's never going to see the birth of a first grandson. Well, third grandson. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Daphne. It's hard to keep track of what you're doing. But anyway, Anthony, not on Team Vicus at this current moment. But don't worry, Anthony, you're going to have more things to worry about very, very soon. The dancing continues for now until the final strings play and Colin strokes Penelope's face. I suppose Portia sort of stole the thunder there early, didn't she? But
No.
What a moment.
This one's better. No.
What a moment. What a moment. There's about to be a pretty spectacular interruption, so let's soak up this dance while we can. Our lovely listener Erin said, we know from Nicola's behind the scenes footage that the original song for the wedding dance was Take Me to Church by Hosier. How do you guys feel about them changing it to You Belong With Me? I think I prefer the original. It reflects the mood and intensity of the scene better.
Yes.
So yes, How long had we wanted Take Me to Church, mostly as a carriage song? We did get it, and behind the scenes for this dance, what would you prefer, guys?
I, for one, as much as I wanted to have seen You Belong With Me in season 3, would have liked to have seen Take Me to Church here, because the behind the scenes video that Nick posted of them dancing to Take Me to Church has this really amazing, intense energy to it that I think works for this point in the relationship in a way that You Belong With Me doesn't. You Belong With Me feels to me more like a song that's meant for a Polin that hasn't yet discovered their passion for each other, let alone necessarily married, or for Colin to even have found out about the Lady Whistledown issue yet. Thematically, You Belong With Me kind of works in that they're still coming to the realization that they do belong together, but there's like sadder undertones to it with the song's message when it's coming at this point in their story. And also, the intensity of Take Me to Church kind of matches how this was actually described on the page as well, because the scene description for this reads, close on Pen and Colin, feeling that familiar heat, electrified by this contact to the point that everything else seems to fade away. And that to me feels like a Take Me to Church moment.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We always wanted You Belong With Me in the season, but like way earlier in the story.
Right.
It's very much like an episode 2, episode 3, light, not together, stumbling towards each other.
Yes.
A scene like that at like a ball or during their lesson scene or something. By the time you get to this point, it's not even just that the relationship has moved past that, because you could have had it like a happy wedding as like a, oh, this is the way we started out, like a beautiful nostalgic song. But emotionally, they're just not in that kind of place at all. They're not in like a light, playful mood. The dance is intense and it is connecting and romantic, but like you say, it's far more, I don't know, it's a bit darker, and you need that intensity.
Yeah.
Not just for the passion that they have in the scene, but for the state that they're in.
Yeah. I feel like the lyrics are perfect.
I'll worship at the shrine of your eyes.
Exactly.
It's like, he's doing that.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
Yes.
And yeah, I think it suited the tone a lot more. So although we always wanted You Belong With Me in it, I don't know that they're mentally there. Maybe at a happy wedding they would have, but yeah. Moon Pie said, the wedding dance, I possibly love the behind the scenes version even more without the cuts, but it was so good either way. And Tara said, the wedding and wedding dance is perfection. It is a gorgeous moment, especially that lingering last moment. Like, I think there's a couple of other shots that you can see that a little bit closer up, that final moment, right?
Yes, this makes me angry. My only real criticisms of the sequence are that A, there are way too many cutaways to other characters and conversations during this dance, so you kind of like don't even get the wrecking ball intensity of that season 2 dance between Anthony and Kate, because they're cutting away just a little too often. And B, I also would have liked to have seen Colin sliding his hand to the other side of Pen's face and caressing it, as you can see in the behind-the-scenes clip that Nicola posted of this dance before they were interrupted by the Queen. And if you argue that maybe this was a little too scandalous, I say, use the footage they filmed for the video Nicola posted, which was just an extension of the fantasy sequence of them dancing alone together. So it would have been the Queen pulling them out of their moment in public as well as their fantasy together. But anyway.
Yeah, that'd have been better, because we love Pride and Prejudice. There's obviously this homage, but I don't know that it lasts long enough.
Yeah.
Like in Pride and Prejudice, it is like an extended moment that they have between one another, isn't it? And they're sort of circling around each other, whereas here, I love that it's employed, but I don't know, it's maybe just not long enough. We're pulled out of it at the wrong moment.
I feel like it's truncated.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have a beautiful cheek stroke, but the happy moment is not set to last, as Queen Charlotte suddenly bursts into the room with her entourage. Colin and Pen break apart and the room is brought to a standstill. Queen Charlotte declares,
Everyone who is a Bridgerton, leave.
Not a Bridgerton.
not a Bridgerton, key point.
Whoops. Everyone who is not a Bridgerton, leave now.
The wedding guests and Featheringtons all head out, no doubt already gossiping about the drama of the Queen gatecrashing. My favourite moment in this whole thing is the way that Pen immediately tries to slip out. She's like, whoops-a-daisy, I forgot I was a Bridgerton. No, I still thought it was a Featherington, while she's like trying to like deck it out of there, completely abandoning Colin. And then Colin's like, no, you do have a new surname, babe. You are a Bridgerton. She's like, oh yeah. Oh, great. Oh, what a relief. Nice try, Pen. Lecky, we watched the scene together, and I remember we were both so shocked by the Queen's arrival. I think it's like the one thing that we never saw coming. The surprise that we had with that. But I take it that the Queen is here for more than just a slice of swan cake. Is that right, Beans?
Yes. Someone in this room has something to hide, and I shall not leave until they come forward and reveal themselves. The longer you delay, the greater my irritation. Step forward. Confess.
The room is thick with tension and very confused Bridgertons. And apparently Lady Danbury, who's decided that she's also
a Bridgerton, yeah.
A shell-shocked Pen moves to take a step forward before Fran reveals the second biggest secret of the season. She's engaged to John. The Queen doesn't give a single shit about it. Lady Danbury and Eloise sigh in relief. Interesting that Lady Danbury is relieved there. Do you think she, at this point, knows that it's Pen?
I think she does. I think we touched on this earlier in this episode where she's smiling as she's reading the issue of Lady Whistledown. I think she puts it together there.
Well, that's not why the Queen is here. Sorry, Fran. She knows that Lady Whistledown is in this room and she's not leaving until she has a confession. It's only taken the Queen 2.5 years, but she's managed to narrow it down. And how has she done that, Beans?
I was close last year, tantalising so, and now, only when the Cowper girl publishes lies about this very family, suddenly Whistledown rushes to print. Surely she suspected what Miss Cowper intended to publish. That is what roused her from her hiding place. And why? Clearly, because she is one of you.
Anthony is not having it. He assures Her Majesty personally that if such a thing was happening in his home, it's technically not his home, I would know of it and I would have put a stop to it a long time ago. I wouldn't be so sure of that if I was you, darling.
Again, always last to know.
Yeah.
He says it with his full chest as well, doesn't he, bless him?
Interestingly, the script also notes that it's Antony's words that ultimately stop Pen from coming forward.
Oh, so she was planning on doing it. Is it one of those moments with Pen where she's like, oh, I definitely was going to say something?
You can see this in the show. Earlier, Penelope is almost going to take a step forward before Fran speaks, and then she was going to step forward and come clean. But the moment Antony says that, she's like, oh, best not.
Yeah, I can't show him up.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way Kate is like nodding effusively behind him. She's like, absolutely, whatever he says. And seeing as though no confession is forthcoming, Queen Charlotte decides to retreat. Lady Whistledown can hold her tongue another night because the Queen will loosen it up soon enough. Don't worry, Charlotte. I assure you personally that Lady Whistledown's tongue won't be getting any action that night. The Queen retreats, but the damage is done. Who do you think, because she's narrowed it down, right? So she narrowed it down to the Bridgertons. Who do you think's most and least likely culprit? She must have a suspicion about which one it is. Clearly, she doesn't fucking think it's Ben. He's not even in the bloody room. Like, does she not ask, like, there's one of you missing? Who do you think she suspects?
I think she still suspects Eloise, honestly. I don't think she thinks it's Antony at all because he's too prideful to ever do that, you know? He's so, like, honest to a fault, even if it's not with himself. I think she thinks it's one of the women, honestly. I think she thinks it's Hyacinth.
Oh. I mean, she's clever.
She talks to the maids.
For all Queen Charlotte knows, it could be that thing where serial killers who like get close to their victims or try to monitor like what's happening with the crimes that are being investigated. And that's why Eloise approached her in season 1 as like, hey, I want to help find Lady Whistledown.
Oh, maybe.
Is it Murder on the Orient Express where the solution is they all did it?
Right. Yeah. All the Bridgertons.
It's a family affair.
Yeah, they all chip in a paragraph here and there. I mean, would she even count Pen as a Bridgerton at this point? I don't think that Pen's on her radar still.
I don't think so either.
Well, Heelskay said, when the Queen is confronting the Bridgertons at the wedding, the look on Kate's face has me wondering if she thinks Penelope is Lady Whistledown. Do you think Kate knows the truth? I wouldn't put it past Kate. I don't know that she's fully there. She has the outside perspective of not really knowing her from childhood, so she probably thinks she's more likely a culprit than they do.
Well, she also has more knowledge than some of the other Bridgertons.
That doesn't take much.
She's been paying attention to the conflict between Eloise and Penelope.
Yes.
And then she also comforted Colin the night before the wedding. She's like, I don't know why you're upset, but does that negate your love for Penelope?
Ah, there's something.
But she knows that something is bothering him, so she might have been able to put it together.
To be fair, it wouldn't take them that long to figure that one out. He was there the night before being like, there's this massive secret. It's like decimated what I think I know about her.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. And the Queen shows up and is like, one of you is Lady Whistledown. So Kate's like, oh, well, maybe.
One of you has a massive secret that might complicate the relationship you have with each other. And Anthony's there like, I have not a clue what you're talking about. Not in my household, babe.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, she said, I really appreciated all the foresight by Ovs, you're very welcome, about something going wrong with the wedding. Damn Queen Charlotte for interrupting. What do you think would have happened if she had not arrived? And Gabby also echoed this, saying, if the Queen had not interrupted them, what do you think would have happened after the dance?
I think they would have had a very happy wedding night. I feel like this was the moment of resolution. I feel like...
Well, it would have just come up again, though. I think it was one of those situations, you know, when you've brushed over something, but you haven't dealt with the underlying issue. So you haven't really resolved it. So it's like, it's okay for today, but it's just a time bomb waiting to go off at some point.
Maybe.
He hadn't come to terms with it, so it was always going to be there.
I mean, I don't mind that they didn't have a wedding night, but I feel like Queen Charlotte inserting herself into the issue makes it so serious for him and his family that that's why they didn't have a wedding night.
Yeah, she really raises the stakes.
I think that otherwise they've just had this moment of passion on the dance floor, and I feel like that would have carried through the rest of the night.
Well, the Queen's wig has barely brushed the top of the door frame before Colin angrily storms out of the room. I have to say, way to be fucking subtle there.
Right, yeah.
It's like, she's barely left and he immediately angrily storms out. It's like, oh, I wonder who's upset about someone keeping a fucking secret.
Yeah.
Well, Lecky, you've always had a real soft spot for a Pen and a Colin staircase scene, haven't you?
Shut up. Shut up.
Darling, I'm so happy to say wildest dreams can come true.
Okay.
I just want to say, in our script, I have called this wedding reception. I cannot believe we have to talk about this scene because I don't want to. So, Lecky, you do it.
Okay. So Colin and Penelope just had this really beautiful moment in their dance where they were caught up in this fantasy together where they were all alone, dancing without anyone else in the room. And I wish this scene had been a fantasy, honestly.
A nightmare, a hellscape.
Yeah. So basically, they exit the reception, and then we immediately slip into a reshoot scene where Penelope and Colin have a confrontation in the empty Featherington foyer.
We've already dived headfirst into Uncanny Valley.
Right.
Because it's a reshoot. So things were already a little bit off kilter. And Colin is not pleased. Pen says, I didn't know if it was going to make it worse if I spoke up. Colin's like, thank God you stayed silent. Surely staying silent is the way forward. Give up Whistledown. She'll find you eventually. The Queen's going to get you. As long as you're Whistledown, forever this lie will hang over all of us. Pen says, do you want to know what it is like to have nowhere in the world you can truly be yourself?
It's like two separate conversations. Sorry, go ahead.
You cannot possibly know because you are not a woman. You have the choice to be any kind of person you wish to be, while the only choice women have is to conceal the parts of ourselves the world will not accept. I am Whistledown. I will not change that. Right, I think we can all agree this is not our favourite scene. I think it ranks pretty low for everybody. Is this the worst Polin scene ever?
Probably.
Lecky, you just really summed it up quite well. You basically said they're having two separate conversations there.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. I don't like it.
Well, our listeners had a lot to say about this, naturally. So Heels K said, for me, it seems so out of character for Pen to say the things she said. And honestly, I don't feel like it accurately described what Whistledown meant for her.
Yeah.
It took a real hard feminism approach that seemed out of place for me. Moonpie said, the low for me is the post-wedding argument and Cressida's discovery of Whistledown, which, don't worry, Moonpie, we'll get to.
True.
The argument is anachronistic, out of character, and extremely frustrating. G said, while this is my favourite episode overall, the staircase scene is one I struggle with. Tara says, after a million rewatches, I still don't get the fight after the Queen leaves the wedding. This is the only scene I dislike. And Nick added, I just felt the tone was weird. I understand the writers may want drama and a cliffhanger leading up to the finale, but Pen's whole speech just seemed a bit odd. Maybe the worry and stress since Colin found out made her snap. More than fair, but it just felt weird that she talked about a woman's place and feelings in the world.
Right.
I thought in that moment she would want to talk about their relationship and their specific feelings. They're both scared, and rather than coming together, they back into different corners and are unwilling to yield. Pen doubles down on being Whistledown, and Colin cannot accept Pen putting herself and their family at risk. And Erin adds, I always wanted in that moment for Pen to explain to Colin that Whistledown was her voice and that by giving it up, she would be silenced forever. I think it could have been a sweet moment of vulnerability instead of Pen just going full on girl boss on them. I think our listeners had some really great insights there, right?
Yes, and I definitely agree with Erin. I feel like this should have been about Pen's writing and like how voiceless she felt before she found Lady Whistledown and how she doesn't want to be stripped of that voice in her writing, appealing to Colin as a fellow writer who has discovered his creativity and his own voice as a writer.
And I think this is why this scene is generally disliked. It's not that there's conflict, because everyone understands the concept of conflict in a drama show, right?
Right.
But it's just the way it just doesn't feel very true to A, them as characters, and B, the conflict that they're having. Obviously, there are odds and they're struggling to find a way forward. Like, she has something that she won't give up, and he has something that he insists she has to. But the way they talk about it just doesn't seem right to them in that moment. Like, it doesn't seem very Pen, and
seems forced.
It's a very nuanced argument, and they have a history together. So they could have easily had a nuanced conversation, but very strange. And the thing is, there's a moment in Romancing Mr. Bridgerton that she kind of has a similar criticism of him, but it's a lot more specific to them and their relationship. Do you remember in the journal scene in the book? She's like, you think you don't have anything, but you have talent, you have a world, you're a man, you can do anything, you can be anything. Go and do it and stop complaining. And it's tied into writing, which is what you said, Licky. Like, she can still have a perspective of being frustrated with him, not understanding what this means to her, but it needs to be far more tied into the reality of, this is what I love, this is why I love it, and this is who I am.
Yeah.
Whereas you had this completely disconnected scene of her being like, you don't know what it's like
for women in this world. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's just a frustrating scene.
And there's also like not a scene earlier in the episode that kind of reinforces that opinion. Like, this argument would maybe even have made more sense in like 306, where we have the ladies do not have dreams speech and stuff like that. In 307, it feels like they're not exploring that theme at all until this scene. Like the plight of women.
And then it doesn't really come back again later either.
Yeah.
It's not that she can't make that point to him, but the way she goes about it just doesn't feel like her. And she could have even tied it back to 306, where she's like, I tried giving this up because I love you so much. I was going to give it up, but I can't, because it's like losing a part of myself. And I don't want to lose a part of myself to be with you. And you shouldn't lose a part of yourself to be with me.
Yeah.
And it's fine that they end at like standstill, but just the way the scene goes about it is just so strange that I just detach from it in general. I never rewatch it. I rewatched it for this episode and that's it alone. Because it just doesn't feel like them, the way they're acting. Colin says, I cannot accept that. Pen says, Colin, it's our wedding night. She still wants to get some, you know. And Colin says, I shall sleep on the sofa tonight. I will find our carriage. Brutal, brutal. Moonpie said these sections were reshot, and we know that Nicola said the original storyline was too dark, particularly in this scene. I think, Lecky, there was a hint that Colin maybe was too angry in the scene. That's maybe one of the reasons they reshot it.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I would have preferred angry Colin, because there's just something about the reshoot and the styling be different that just adds another layer of, this just all feels wrong to me.
Yeah. Uncanny Valley.
It's also rumored that Cressida overheard part of this conversation, specifically the bit between Eloise and Penelope that follows after Colin leaves. And she learned about Lady Whistledown through this. I believe that Jessica Madsen mentioned it at like a fan event. So it's possible that they had to reshoot this because they changed the way that Cressida found out about Lady Whistledown, which we will talk more about in a moment.
And there's nothing in the script that clarifies it, because the script just has the most up-to-date version, which is the reshot version. Moonpie said, I think they probably needed to hit some of the same notes in order to keep the story intact, but I find it hard to believe it was worth the swap. I think that's what's frustrating as well. It's like, you know, there's a version that probably resonated better.
Yeah.
And we get this instead. It's just not a good scene for either of them in terms of their character. It just feels very out of place. And it adds such a sour note to the wedding. It's like, you've had such a reconciliation, and then they just have this complete off-colour clash that isn't resolved. So the wedding went to shit then after all that. So much for fucking nice little nods in the church and little cute cheek grazes.
He nodded goodbye before he nodded off on the sofa.
He nodded goodbye. As Colin heads off to find the carriage, Eloise heads down the stairs to wrap a sobbing Penelope in her arms. The friends are truly reconciled. Says something at least, you know.
This is what it takes, apparently, is Penelope weeping. As we know from season 1.
Yeah, she's like, now I'll help you. Better late than never, I guess. Eloise tries to reassure her by saying, it will be all right. It will. To which I have to say, will it, Eloise? Do you know that for a fact, babe? And to summarise this little ending, our listener Hilske said, this was the moment I felt myself losing hope for the second half of the season.
Oh, shit.
Lucky for you, 1 episode left.
Well, it is, because you're like, there's only 50 fucking minutes left of this story.
Yeah.
Dear. Realising they were just going for pure drama and would be departing from the storyline I was hoping for. It seemed so unpen-like to me and didn't come close to capturing what I thought that Whistledown meant to her. I really thought the wedding was a turning point, and we should see them having a heartfelt conversation where each person calmly explained their feelings, got on the same page, and activated Polin against the world. And then they said, nope. And then they said, what do you think happened after the Queen left the wedding breakfast? Did the guests all leave? Did Portia walk back to the empty room after all her hard work? Would she be devastated, or would she be thrilled at the Queen crashing her daughter's wedding?
Oh, thrilled, even if it's bad.
Well, I don't want to be disrespectful, but like, did the Queen turn up to your wedding, Lecky? It's a good story, you know?
In the Americas, I would be like, what is happening?
When she eloped with her husband and her dog.
At the time, but definitely like years from now, she's going to be like, well, do you remember when the Queen came to our wedding?
A funny story.
It'll be funny eventually.
Yeah.
My main concern is what happened to all the food. What happened to the jelly mould?
And the castle cakes.
And the little swan.
Yeah, they didn't even get to cut the cake.
She was relying on Colin to eat about 50% of that, and he was probably gone fucking home and lost his appetite.
That's a very good point.
As for Pen and Colin, I think they just got in the carriage and had the most miserable, solitary ride back to Bloomsbury that they ever could have had.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit depressed after that. Things have really taken a turn for the worse. The one thing that always really cheers me up at a time like this
is a threesome.
Because Colin and Pen might not be getting the wedding night of their dreams, but thankfully Ben is taking one for the team and making sure that at least somebody is going to be kept busy that night. And Gabby said this is also the beginning of Benedict's threesome interrupting an important Polin moment, so I hope they get payback next season. Yeah, it's a lovely tradition to set into motion.
Anyway, in the script, there was a cutscene immediately after Paul and Ben's kiss where we saw Ben falling into bed with Paul and Tilly. After exchanging some kisses, Paul asked Benedict how he felt, and he replied, entirely natural, echoing some of the language from Ben's conversation with Tilly earlier in the episode about how the feelings between two interested people are the most natural thing in the world, basically. And if this scene sounds vaguely familiar to you for any reason, it's because it was actually moved to episode 308, so we will cover that in our next rewatch. And this is probably too long to really get into, so maybe we'll throw up a collage on Instagram. But upon reviewing the scripts, I also discovered that they left in a cutscene from right after Ben's chat with Elle at the wedding breakfast, where he went to see Tilly, confronting her about the kiss we saw with Paul in 306 for the first time. In that confrontation, he's a bit angrier, and Tilly explained she's been keeping Ben at arm's length because of her association with Paul. Tilly also stated that Paul was jealous of Tilly and Ben's relationship, and that his, quote, jealousy turned into something else upon meeting Ben. In other words, he was attracted to him. And in the end, Ben was left even more confused and had not yet acted on his attraction to Paul, so that probably wouldn't have happened until the last episode. So that scene was replaced by that earlier conversation this episode where Benedict goes to see Tilly and sits with her on the sofa and they talk about how natural it is.
What a convoluted way to get to a threesome, I guess.
Yeah, like the idea that they might have not had the threesome until episode 8 is like shocking to me, considering he's next season. It already seems so rushed that the reveal that he's pansexual in episode 8, the episode before his season where he's the lead, I don't get it. Like, I just really wish Bridgerton was at least like 10, 12 episodes long, because I never feel like they have enough time to realistically do any of the things they want to do. But anyway.
Well, you would think we've just about been through enough this episode, but we still have got one more scene to go, guys. Buckle on in. We're off with Cressida to Chancery Lane to have the answer to the Ton's greatest secret handed to her on a platter. No work required, no intuition, no detective work.
Yeah. So Cressida decides to have a little chat with a printer's apprentice. She's hoping to collect the earnings from her issue of Lady Whistledown and use it to finance a new life, but he thinks she's come looking for suspicious redheads that he may or may not have seen in person.
It's basically through just a chance conversation, she finds out it's Pen, because evidently there's only one redhead in Mayfair at the moment, isn't there? So there's only one person that could be.
Yeah, none of the gaggle of redheads that showed up for the wedding.
There is a suggestion, as you said, Lecky, that originally Cressida wasn't going to find out this way, and she was going to find out by basically listening in to Pen, Colin and Elle at the wedding reception. Do you like that they changed it?
No.
That Cressida found out this way?
No.
Without having to do a single bit of work?
No. I feel like Cressida is really clever. I would have loved for her to have overheard something, even if it's like really subtle, and then made the connection herself.
Yeah, like in the books, she picks up on the syntax that Pen uses, right?
Yeah. I feel like it would have been nice to give her some grace and show how actually clever she could be by having her figure out who Lady Whistledown is, especially after her conversation in 305 with Eloise, where Eloise is kind of like, well, I couldn't figure out who Lady Whistledown is. You couldn't possibly. So to have her do that, instead of this guy be like, oh, hey, were you looking for a redhead? I know one. Her name's Lady Whistledown. It just feels cheap to me, and I feel like it could have been done better.
It's just, it does her such a disservice. And Moonpie pulled up on this. She said Cressida discovering Whistledown in basically the exact same way Colin did just one episode ago.
Right.
Why? And it's like, those were two characters who were clever, who were in the position to pay attention, to notice, and who could have really showed that cleverness, that practical cleverness as well, by going and figuring it out. And instead you just sort of tack on a scene where she just finds out by complete chance. Because then what you have obviously is at the last hour, literally the last episode, you've got the blackmail plot shoved in.
Also, she could have thought of it was Portia. You know what I mean? Prudence, Philippa. Well, you know what? She probably could have ruled out Prudence and Philippa, but Portia is definitely a contender because people have speculated that Portia is Lady Will Sit Down in the past.
Yeah, or she could have just figured it out herself. I think even overhearing it would have been good because it would have showed cunning. Anyway, she's found out shit's going to hit the fan. We'll be back here for 308. Woohoo. We've reached the end of a very long episode. Overall, our listener, Annie M, said, I struggle with the lack of communication between Colin and Pen in this episode. I know they had the argument outside the Modiste, but I wanted them to clear the air. When Daphne and Simon got married, there was angst, but we got to see their carriage ride after the wedding and to see their troubles play out. With Pen and Colin, they had that strange altercation after Queen Charlotte interrupted the wedding, but we didn't get to see them travelling in the carriage or the reactions of the rest of the Bridgertons after the wedding. And Late said, that's a good point. On top of the wedding day, I need a headcanon for how they behaved with each other from their wedding day until Fran and John's wedding day. I mean, they were sharing a house. Was Pen trying to talk with Colin and he'd just walk out of the room? Late, good news for you. The kettle is on. A cup of tea is brewing.
Just a sad boy on the sofa.
We will meet you here next time for episode 8, the final, last fucking rewatch we will have to do. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Gus. Episode 7 done. Lecky, whistle up, whistle down.
Whistle up, the wedding dance. It's beautiful. I love it. I wish it hadn't been interrupted.
Not the nod.
No, I like the dance more, I think.
My whistle up for this episode, sorry, Lecky, is Pen blanking Benedict during the promenade.
Okay.
Do you have a whistle down?
I 100% do. It's the post-wedding lecture about feminism, which I added with three question marks after it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to pick the moments where it will land and not make things worse.
Yeah. Do you know earlier in our rewatch we were talking about how like Pen during the Medea scene, she wasn't biting back when she could have done because she was like, for the greater good, we need to not make this worse. She threw that out the fucking window on a wedding night, didn't she?
Yeah. And she's like, the plight of women, Colin. And Colin's like, I don't really like women all that much at the moment.
Like, it's amazing. Shall we rate the episode?
Oh, by ratings for episode 7. It's a weird episode.
For episode 7, I'm going to give it a 7.
7 for 7. That sounds quite fair.
9 for me.
Oh, 9. Oh my God, 9. You guys are being very, very dramatic.
You can't enjoy the wedding.
I think what we should say is we've recorded this in 3 separate sections. And so today's section was just the wedding.
The pain, yeah.
We're in a bad mood.
I'm tired.
4?
A 4.
Oh, a 4. Lovely.
I'm gonna go with 5.5 because am I? I think I gave episode 6 a 6. I'm gonna go 5.5 for this. Obviously, the wedding. You know, it's nice to have a wedding. Who doesn't like an invite? What I don't like about this episode is I've no problem with drama in a main character story. However, everyone else is also miserable. There's like no light moments anywhere else in the whole storyline. Whereas like at least episode 6 was like a bit of fun and laughter going on. Or like 207, you had the harmony ball, which was really sweet. It's just a very downward spiral kind of episode, but there's a lot of great moments, so we'll give it to you guys. Well done. I'll see you here next time for our last rewatch episode. In the meantime, Pen, you go home with Colin, enjoy your wedding night, darling, see how that one works out for you, and I'll see you guys later. Where can everyone find us though if they're also waiting for the kettle to finish boiling?
Oh, that reminds me, I made tea.
Tea's probably cold now, babe.
Yeah, I know.
You could find us on What a Barb Pod on Instagram and TikTok.
And you can find us in your ears on Spotify and all your favourite podcast platforms, and with your eyes and your ears on YouTube.
And you can come join us on Patreon, where we'll have all sorts of chats. Patreon.com/whataboutpod. Beans, I don't know if your voice is up to it, my love. And I don't know what song you've got up your sleeve, but do you have a song in mind to sing us out? Think wedding.
Take Me to Church. Any sort of wedding song.
Did you say The Purge?
No, I said Take Me to Church.
I was like, The Purge is a bit fucking far, babe.
Dear Lord.
I don't really have any wedding songs stuck in my head.
Do you want to give us a Take Us to Church?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to give us The Purge? No.
I don't want to wait for our love to be over, but I don't want to wait for our love to be over, but you buddy bitty something.
Das violin. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.